for the Barnstable County Commissioners to be here in the town of Harwich. And this is a very special place for me. This is where I actually started my career in municipal government, and working under the tutelage of three incredible select board members, Don Griffin, Julie Peterson, and Barry Hemian. I learned a lot here, and then from Harwich I went on to Provincetown. So this is a very special day for me. It's special to be in the Don B. Griffin room, since I worked for Don back in the old days, and I think his spirit today is still alive and well with us as we see all sorts of crazy things happening up at the State House and elsewhere. Don was a very fierce defender of Harwich and the Cape, and he believed in, I think, the state of Cape Cod. I think that's what he called this place, and had a flag, and he named things after the state of Cape Cod. So we come here embracing the spirit of Don B. Griffin, and we're very proud to be advocates for our communities, and particularly this place we call Cape Cod. So I'm going to call our meeting to order. We have a quorum. Commissioner Bergstrom present, Commissioner Lyons present. So the county commissioners are now in order at 10:05. I'm going to ask our Harwich friends, our hosts from the Harwich Select Board, to call their meeting to order since they have a quorum.
Good. I call to, first of all, welcome to all the people from Barnstable County Regional Government. I call to order the Harwich Select Board to order. We have a quorum.
Very good. I'm going to ask folks in the audience to join both boards in a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this time, I would like to ask everyone to join us in a brief moment of silence to reflect on the bravery and the sacrifices of all those who put their lives on the line in service to our country. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comment. I'm going to invite any resident or anyone who'd like to come to the mic and provide a public comment. Yes.
Good day. My name is Sally Urbano. I'm a resident of Harwich. Don B. Griffin, please look down on me. I'd like to talk to you about Harwich and local autonomy for 1 second. We do not want the state taking over our zoning or dictating how much and what type of housing we must build. We hope the Barnstable County Commissioners will support our town, and all Cape Towns, really, in preserving local control while addressing our shared regional challenges. I appreciate your being here. In my opinion, though, what you're going to be discussing today, I couldn't find what you're sharing with us, giving no attention to the most serious long-term issues that are facing Cape Cod. We need your leadership, and we need to talk about carrying capacity long-term issues facing Cape Cod. The hard limits on how much growth our peninsula can sustain without destroying what makes it special. Carrying capacity is the new term for what we used to call build-out. We've heard nothing about build-out for many years now, and there is important priority work to be done there. Our drinking water depends entirely on the vulnerable Cape Cod sole source aquifer, already under stress. Larger scale and denser housing projects, including 4-story buildings, are being fast-tracked with insufficient assessment of cumulative impact to our water resources, our infrastructure, our traffic, and the aquifer itself. These developments also mean higher taxes for year-round residents to pay for expanded services, while we risk losing our historic character, our village identity, and our natural assets that define Cape Cod. Commissioners, please, we are urging you to focus on these core issues support towns in protecting our limited resources, require thorough regional assessments before major projects move forward, and help ensure that growth respects the Cape's finite carrying capacity. Nothing else will matter if we fail to face these realities head-on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sally, thank you very much for your comments. Is there anybody else that would like to say a few words?
Good morning, folks. My name is Eric Schwab. I'm from Hyannis. I'm a building commissioner in Hyannis. A Barnstable Housing Authority commissioner. And I'm a candidate for county commissioner. We're very concerned that the commission is not taking pleas seriously. Our water is being challenged. In Falmouth the other day, the water commissioner announced that Long Pond, which is the primary source of water for Falmouth, is not recharging at historic rates. It's not going dry, it's not an emergency today, but it is not recharging at historic rates. Here in Harwich, we've heard concerns about PUB4 potentially polluting the Herring River. There's an enormous struggle for water going on in Provincetown and Truro right now. Truro is considering opening up their own well field. There are regional concerns about water occurring all across the Cape. And we have not heard from you how you plan to address them. I was in Eastham a couple months ago. I asked for any data you might have on groundwater. Haven't got it. So we would like very much to understand, what are your capabilities? What are you able to do now to help the towns understand the challenges we face in protecting our water? And should we not be stopping more 40B development until we have an understanding of how much water we really have and how much of a threat we're really facing? We don't really know how big a threat it really is. So we are looking to you for your guidance on how to address this situation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make a statement? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Matt Sutphin. I live in Harwich, and I'm standing up to introduce myself to you, as I'm pleased to be with you in the future as Harwich's representative to Cape Cod Commission. I will spout out carrying capacity because I think it's misunderstood. I think preservation, which is, I believe, the headline of your existence, preservation of Cape Cod, is looked at as almost strictly in terms of development. And preservation of Cape Cod will be much more than development. It will be the consequences of what we have developed. And I will continue to urge you to consider that when I join you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. And good luck on your new assignment.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else that would like to make a statement? Okay, let's move on to our next part of the agenda. We are on item number 5, for those of you who are following our agenda. This is the part of our meeting where the county commissioners engage in a dialogue with local officials on their concerns, their priorities, their issues, things that maybe we need to focus in on and pay more attention to. It's the reason why we're doing these meetings on the road. This is why we're going around from town to town and hearing firsthand what local officials would like to see us do better on, or maybe there are things that we're doing that we don't necessarily need to do. We're always looking for ways to save money if we can. So this meeting is wide open, and we're here to hear from you and any concerns that you might have. I should also point out that I'm taking the liberty of making an adjustment in the agenda. So following our discussion and our review, I've asked Christy Senatori to come up first, rather than put her on as the third item on our agenda, 6C. I'm asking her to come up and and update us on the hazard mitigation plan for Harwich right off the bat after we're done. So I want to get the Harwich-oriented items on our agenda up first, because I know you have busy schedules. And at the conclusion of this agenda item, and after Christie's done with her presentation. I know you're busy, you have other commitments, and I want you to feel free to leave after we're done with the Harwich aspects of our agenda. But you're welcome to stay. We love having you around. So, on the, to kick things off, I want to point to your attention that we provided to you a list of all of the various county programs and services that we provide. We're interested in your assessment of the services that you see as priorities, the services that are incredibly important to you, and the services, maybe there are things on there that we're doing that you don't necessarily see as a priority. So we're making this available to help facilitate a dialogue. This is going to be something that we continually talk about with our towns. Michael Dutton, our town administrator, and excuse me, I should go around and make sure that you know who our staff are. I apologize. I'm going to go, Robin, if you could introduce yourself, and we'll go around the table.
Sure. I'm Robin Young. I'm the executive assistant and county clerk.
I'm Michael Dutton, I'm the county administrator.
I'm Jay McGrail, I'm the town administrator in Harwich here.
Sheila Lyons, County Commissioner.
Mark Forrest, County Commissioner.
Ron Bergstrom, County Commissioner.
Jeff Handler, Select Board Member in Harwich.
Mark Kelleher, Select Board Member.
Don Howell, Harwich Select Board.
So as I was saying, with respect to this list that I've handed out that you have, this is going to be a topic of fairly regular conversation among the town administrators and our county administrator. Michael attends all the Cape and Islands manager meetings, and we're always looking for feedback on the work that we're doing, where we need to concentrate more energy and effort, and where we can maybe spare some resources. At all of our meetings, we get very good feedback from our select boards and town administrators on the kinds of things they would like us to see do more of. We're getting a lot of those requests. We've had requests to do more in the area of procurement. We've had requests in other towns to think about doing more in the area of water supply protection. We've had requests from other towns to focus in on other areas. So this is our chance to hear firsthand from you. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark, if you want to kick things off.
Sure.
And
Sure, thank you, Mark. I only have a few comments. Just one thing. We have a new appointment to the county commission, but the previous county commission did make mention when she gave up her position that staff did not respond to concerns, and that when there were major policy changes, they should be discussed with the full commission and votes taken on proposed changes. I had the impression that attention wasn't paid to some of the concerns of our representative. We're very hopeful our new representative will make those concerns known, and that it will be a two-way street. The only other concern I have is the federal government has just passed a large housing bill with an emphasis on manufactured housing. I don't think us as a town, we have the ability to really decipher all the nomenclature that goes into that thing, but that's where I would look for the county to delve into that bill, where we could perhaps use it for affordable housing. For example, I think ADUs are just a tremendous resource that can be for affordable housing, but it's the complexities of the SHI list, making it affordable. That's something where something like the county could help, where you could off the shelf have some plans that can be used for an ADU, and have the complexity of the laws around affordable housing, make them plain for owners of homes and properties who may want to put an ADU, whether it be affordable or attainable. But the per unit cost of using ADUs, I think, will be a lot less versus what I've heard of the per unit cost for what affordable housing is costing the towns right now. So thank you.
that's an excellent point. Did you want to comment, Commissioner
Just
Bertram?
make a quick comment.
I'm going to ask you to move that mic.
I had the privilege of serving with Jacqueline Epstein, she was a tremendous asset, and I know she served for a long time, so that'll be a loss, but I'm sure that your new appointment will pick up the slack and represent Harwich ably. Okay.
I recognize Mr. Howell. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just, especially given the public comment and what you just heard, would you spend a brief moment in trying to delineate the difference between the Cape Cod Commission and the county commissioners?
That's a good question.
Where everything lies in terms of authorities?
Yes, I'm basically on both. I'm the county commissioner's appointment to the Cape Cod Commission. There are 18 of us, I think, or 19 of us.
But again, just to drill down a
Should
little
talk about
bit,
the
you
really
don't
right.
run the commission.
Yeah, just so that people understand, it is confusing, and that's unfortunate. That's something that has to be fixed. There are people who, when they go to the voting booth to vote for me as a county commissioner, think that they're voting for someone who actually oversees the Cape Cod Commission. And we're doing a charter, we're going through a charter review process. On the ballot, there will be a question asking people if they would like to have a Barnstable County Charter Commission. And if people vote yes, then these are the kinds of things that we will review. How to, or at least an independent panel will review. How do we fix things like this? And they will have public meetings and hear feedback just like this, so we can clearly delineate the various roles and responsibilities. Our board, and I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Lyons in a moment, our board basically oversees almost the entirety of county government. We're the executive branch. We're like in local government, the select board. And unfortunately, our name can be confused with the Cape Cod Commission. The Cape Cod Commission is our regional planning agency, but they also have a regulatory role in terms of land use regulation. The commission oversees a regional policy plan. We just recently had a series of hearings and meetings. And we go through a process, and this regional policy plan is an attempt to bring people and the communities to the table to help shape a regional vision for growth and development on Cape Cod, to set priorities for the kinds of resources that need to be protected, to identify critical issues that should be of special attention to the Cape Cod Commission staff. It's an open process. People are invited to come to those hearings and those meetings. And at the end of the day, when there are changes made to the regional policy plan, they are adopted by the Assembly of Delegates. They have to go through the Assembly, and you have an elected member of the Assembly, and that's part of their job, is to review and act on those changes. And then ultimately, whatever resolution they adopt, it comes to us to sign off on. But we do this periodically. The regional policy plan is reviewed on a regular basis because there are times in our growth and development where issues emerge. I remember when we first created the Cape Cod Commission itself, we were dealing with intensive pressures of growth and development, and this was our attempt to find ways to manage growth and development. And by updating and revising the regional policy plan, that is our opportunity to sort of hear from the community and the public at large as to maybe the way we should change or maybe adjust our thinking. I don't know if I'm missing anything, Christie, but feel free to edit or revise any comments that I make. But I think that's pretty much the gist of it. And so we oversee the commission as one of many county departments. The commission itself is governed by a statute. There is this law called the Cape Cod Commission Act. And what I think is important to note is that that act is established by the legislature. As you know, we're all political subdivision creatures of the Commonwealth. That basically whatever power we have as a county, whatever power you have as a town, those are all powers that are conferred to us by the legislature. And in this case, when the Cape Cod Commission Act was taken through the legislative process, there were certain things they decided not to put in the act, and there were certain things that were put in the act. One of them, for example, and this is being disputed over in Martha's Vineyard, is the role and responsibility of reviewing 40Bs in housing developments. There's some people that think that the commission has a separate and distinct authority over 40Bs, which it does not. In fact, there's specific provisions in the law that make it clear that that's not within our purview. Our Cape Cod Commission acts in a similar capacity as a local board and has to act that way. And this is actually being litigated on the Vineyard right now. So, and the other departments that we have Cooperative Extension. They're represented here today. Later on in our meeting, we're going to talk about food insecurity. We have other departments that are very busy. You know, our dredging department is very busy in the town of Harwich. We spend a lot of time making the rounds in Chatham and Harwich almost every year, it seems. to dredge our ports and harbors. And I could go on with some of the other departments. But our job is to oversee everything. We work with the administrator to prepare a budget every year, and that budget must be submitted to the assembly. So that's sort of a brief overview of how we're set up. I hope that's helpful. Sheila, did you want to jump in?
No, I did want to say that, you know, we are limited in what we can dictate to the commission, although we can influence through hiring and our opinion, and also we do a lot of things that we work together on. So we'll join forces with money if there is an impact that we can make for all the towns. So there is a good relationship, but I hear what everyone is saying here very clearly. And again, you know, the commission was developed in a response to the boom that was happening back in the 90s. You know, there was like a huge spurt, growth. And when it was being created, I'm sure there were a lot of developers in the room that influenced that you only had power over commercial development and not so much residential development. And that is the problem with the act. So, I mean, you can do policies around land use and that sort of thing. But, you know, there's always forces that are battling for their own interest. And right now, it does feel like there is an onslaught of interest that isn't really thinking about the longevity of Cape Cod. I'm from the Outer Cape. You know, I'm coming down here, I get off the highway, I come down 124, and there's all these different roads that bring you to other places. In the Outer Cape, you got one road, and all the offshoots bring you to either the bay or the ocean. So we don't have a lot of room, and that's about 2 miles wide, maybe 3 in some places in my town of Wellfleet. So I have very much the same concern. When I moved here, it was a summer. It was to be a summer house. When we moved here, it was very rural. I had a lot of animals. It was a wondrous place, and now I feel like I'm living in and it's very lovely. It's treed. They've done not a bad job as far as the development, but I do feel like I'm living in a North Virginia suburb on my street. So I hear everybody here, and I have the same concerns, and I do think it's coming to a unified voice, and I think that that's what we need if this is the concern. And I know that APCC has these concerns. So, but there's only so much we can do, and I do think that if people do take on this charter, I do hope that thoughtful people will apply to be on that charter review, and not just for an agenda, but to really think about the future of the Cape, because we have a very special place here, and we need to keep it for other people. It's a mental health issue. It's a natural issue. There's a happiness quotient that's built into development and what makes a happy community, and all of our assets lead to that, and we should, all of us, protect them in our homes and what we use that goes in the groundwater, but also be aware of the development around us. So I don't want to be the last generation that sees this place as it is today, and I'm afraid that, you know, we keep thinking, is there anybody else that's going to need to see the trees and the nature and have a chance to swim in beautiful ponds and really have a mental health break? And that's really what I felt that the Cape has always provided, and it inspires artists and authors and playwrights, and we need to keep that special element. So I'm hearing everyone in the room. Thank you.
Commissioner Bergstrom, and then I'm going to go.
Yeah, you know, I was a selectman in Chatham for 12 years, and I understand how local control is applied. The first line of defense against what you consider overdevelopment or encroachment on wetlands, the first line of defense is the people that are appointed by your board on the planning board, on the zoning board, Conservation Commission. Those are the people who are the first line of defense. They're the ones that have to hold the housing development and other encroachments. They have to hold their feet to the fire, not allow them to encroach on wetlands, and understand all the ramifications of development. Now, I'm a believer in local control. I think that you should pay attention to the zoning board, and pay attention to the planning board, and pay attention to the Conservation Commission, and even pay attention to affordable housing committees. They're the ones that make the decision. Yes, the Cape Cod Commission has an additional level of authority, which wouldn't be there if you didn't live on Cape Cod. If you lived off Cape Cod, that additional level of authority would go away completely. So Cape Cod Commission is an asset, and it provides another level of scrutiny on some projects that come under their control. And so, sometimes the perfect is the enemy of the good, and I think you should appreciate what the commission does and understand what it doesn't do. But you guys and your selectmen are the ones who can decide what happens in Harwich. Except for the exception of 40B, which I agree is not worth the little benefit we get from it. But, so apply for those boards, okay? First thing you do is when there's an opening, go to the selectmen and say, I want to be on the planning board, I want to be on the zoning board.
Good point.
Select Board Member Handler, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I hope we can do this more often. The last 8 minutes or 10 minutes from me has gained me some insight and answered some of my questions. I hope there's not a lot of redundancy in my narrative here, but I will absolutely be approaching this from a different perspective than I think maybe you've found at your other stops on your tour that you've gone to different towns. I didn't want to regurgitate the same questions and comments. So bear with me, and I've given, at least in my opinion, a great deal of time and effort into preparing for this opportunity.
Right.
And again, I thank you for being here. And my questions, first off, they're going to be for me to gain clarity. And then secondly, I need to understand the state of our regional government. Not just the list of, all the work that you're all doing. And you do some great work, the dredging. I could list plenty of things that I would commend regional government in their achievements. But I'm going to do a fair amount of digging in all areas to gain that clarity that at least for me I need, and maybe some of the public may need as well. So right out of the gate, I will let you know that I have very little confidence currently in regional government. And through my questions and comments, I will clarify my point there. But I wanted to come out of the gate and make that point very clear. I do want to have confidence in our regional government. I want to be more of a participant in our regional government in the capacity that is appropriate. And hopefully we can all get there. And this is, my conclusion has come through experience, not hearsay. And I'll start by asking, you did answer some of these questions already. What is the reason for you all requesting this audience at the Harwich Select Board? And you cleared it up. If I'm not mistaken, you said, we want to get information from you. We want to learn what we can do better. We want to learn, what we're doing well. Does that sum it up?
Yeah, and what we can, particularly what we can do better.
Yes, and that makes me very happy because I look forward to the public in Harwich letting me know what I can do better, and I can assure you, they do it. And I'm not unhappy about that. Have you all ever done a tour like this before where you go around and meet with select boards?
This is, we've done how many of these? 6, half a dozen?
Not in this one loop, but prior to what you're doing right now.
This was an initiative that we started at the beginning of this year. We felt that as a board, it was important given where we're at.
Sheila,
I have to say, we have done it. I've been around a long time on the county, so I'll give you ancient history, but there was a time that we did, and it wasn't very well thought out. It was the commissioners came and basically would read like this sheet, and this is how much we invested in your town, and and it was basically like,
Yeah.
Are you done? And get out. So it really, It wasn't too interesting, I have to admit. I didn't put it all together, and I was somewhat of a newbie in the time, and it kind of went away. So we're having renovations. We are hearing, we see what's going on, and we really did want to get out and see, hear from people directly, not just kind of in this seat over here, and we're hearing drabs and dribs, so.
Bidirectional
So, but, yeah, we really, and I think this is something we should do every year, at least, once a month, be at a town. And, and really keep tabs on, because we are regional governments. I mean, when I have gone out on campaigns, it's a 15-town campaign, and you learn all of the beauty and complexity and individuality, and also the shared problems of each town when you do that. So I feel very committed to all of Cape Cod, even though I do think the Outer Cape is very special. So,
I didn't even know we had an Outer Cape.
yeah, well, it is. It's very special, and it's also under duress, so I see it.
I think we're all under duress
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Can I-
In many ways.
Yeah,
I
please.
just want to add a comment to yours, Jeff. One of the things that is important to keep in mind is that we get tremendous input from your departments. All right, for example, our health department has regular calls, at times weekly calls, with all the health agents on the Cape to talk about health issues. We have a dredge advisory committee, and each town has a representative on the dredge advisory committee. So through all of the various departments, there are numerous advisory committees that are made up of local officials. And sometimes we convene by Zoom or Teams. Sometimes we will convene in person, or there'll be hybrid meetings. But we get from your town steady feedback from a variety of sources within your community. And it's generally been incredibly helpful. It is, because when we have a dredge advisory committee meeting, we know what Harwich needs for dredging help. And out of that, we actually advocate for positions. I think in one of our dredge advisory committee meetings earlier this year, we heard from a couple of harbor masters, Chatham and Harwich, that they were concerned about the state no longer funding the dredge program in the Commonwealth, that they were being told that dredging was going to be zeroed out. So with that information from the Dredge Advisory Committee, the county commissioners have been lobbying our legislators to make sure that funds are set aside for our Cape towns for dredging. I just got a call last night from the Economic Development Secretariat saying that stay tuned, you're going to see a grant announcement soon for Cape towns to apply for state dredging funds. Even though they didn't have money in this upcoming budget that they just acted on, they found some bond money in another place, and they are able to initiate a new round of dredge funding for the towns. And that application information we will broadcast that information to all our harbor masters, members of the Dredge Advisory Committee. But it's through those kinds of communications that are incredibly important for us. So when we hear from the harbor masters, they're raising a red flag on an issue, we jump on it, and we've had some success. Now, we are still working with the Cape delegation to get additional funds for dredging. But to get this call yesterday, basically saying, hey, we've got some good news here, we're going to start a round, we found some funding from another underutilized line item, and we're going to get those monies out to the towns. So you're going to probably be hearing from your harbor master soon enough about whether or not to submit an application, because I think the application deadline is going to be sometime in September. So just make a note of that. But this is an area where we may not hear from you, but we do hear from your harbor master. We may not hear from, when there's an emergency or a disaster, we'll hear from fire and police because we have an emergency management committee meeting. So
Have contact, yeah.
we have regular contact with multiple officials within the community. They don't necessarily talk to us, but they talk to the county department heads. And so our ability, we heard a lot of very good feedback about how we as a region came together during that blizzard in February. And it was largely through the collaborative efforts involving the towns, emergency management, DPW, fire departments, nonprofits. We had the food pantries heavily involved in this effort. The Family Table Collaborative was working around the clock making food. So through that department, we were able to organize a fairly robust response to help people get shelter, get warm. We work with the RTA to transport people there, and we got people nutrition, so we're able to feed folks and make sure that they were taken care of. We even had nurses on board in the shelters to make sure that people had help with any healthcare issues that they were wrestling with. So county government works to the extent that the towns continue to work and partner with us. And these are just some of the ways in which those communications, those working relationships are sort of stitched together. And you will hear from other people from off Cape who witness sometimes how we work together as a region with the towns coming together, working to the county and dealing with these issues. You'll hear that we have something very unique on Cape Cod. So we're always looking for ways. This is part of our effort to find ways we can strengthen those relationships, improve those relationships. Our budget is roughly the size of the town of Truro, but it's amazing how much work we can get done. We know that going forward, we are going to have additional pressure, just like you, in terms of your budget. We all know that insurance costs are going up, energy costs are going up, all sorts of other costs are going up, making it difficult to run a municipality. Virtually every town on Cape Cod has had to deal with overrides. Yarmouth had 3 override questions. There are other towns that have had just as many. So we know that you're under financial pressure, so we're being even more attentive to areas where we can help save you money. So in one of our towns in Eastham, we heard a little bit about the need to expand some of our county purchasing initiatives and find ways where we can help save towns costs on some of our county bidding.
Where is Eastham again? Is that out in the?
Yeah, that's out, part of the Outer Cape. So anyway, no, I'm sorry,
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we hear
He had other
we're hearing a lot of very good
Understood.
ideas about where we can help the
Right.
town save
Right.
even more money.
I just wanted, I was gonna mention the recent snowstorm
I
that we
wanna
all
hear
got
what it
together. People were out of power for days, and the county emergency management team responded. A few years before that, during the COVID crisis, we managed to obtain a supply of vaccinations. And through the county near service, we managed to vaccinate thousands of people who would have ordinarily had to go, or very often had to go off Cape. So the county is a collaboration, as Mark says, of all the towns, and we stand ready in cases of emergency to deal with them. And I think we've done a good job of that, you know.
you have other questions? No, I'd rather hear from you. I mean, I could add to
Oh,
this,
thank
but.
you. And I find it very comforting to know that there's behind-the-scenes work happening, not just with our incredible town employees that we have here, but with all the regional town employees, and you orchestrate and you deliver. So that certainly can help with but I already knew that, right? As a sitting select board member, I understand that, and I know that. I think one of the things that will help regional government is and this is another point I was gonna make, and I will make at a later point in my narrative here, for the public to be able to understand all the work you do, that will help the public understand and then support the regional government efforts. The only way you can do that, in my opinion, is to show up at select board meetings 3, 4, 5 times a year. We're here every Monday night. And let the public know about the vaccinations and about the snowstorm and about the food insecurity. Because what we read in the paper as the public is transfer tax. And, okay,
from us.
I understand that, but that's part of regional government, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna blend commissioners, the delegates and the Cape Cod Commission a little bit here, because we all are here to discuss regional government. Sorry, is there something in the?
No, sorry.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask. And, Mrs. Lyons, you brought it up, so I was gonna scrap it, but I'm gonna ask it, and I hope to not monopolize this whole, day, but I do have a couple of questions. You had mentioned that you don't have direct influence, and I understand that, over the Cape Cod Commission, but you do have some influence in the words that you just used. So the select board here requested a discretionary review of the Cape Cod Commission of a large-scale project in North Harwich. The request was denied. I just want to know your thoughts on the denial.
Unfortunately, their denial was not because they just didn't want to deal with it. By statute, they don't have the right to regulate that type of project. So all they could do was, I'm not sure exactly, but they did have whatever they could do, they could, but it wasn't like they could stop a 40B. Now, I think, going back to Ron's point, it does start at the town. It is strengthening. You know, there's been a real push and a real talk about affordable housing for a long time. And it's all sort of primed the pump for, okay, now we have to fix it, and we have the opportunity, and we're going to put this money into it, and this is what you're all going to do when we're passing this legislation so that you can access this money, but you kind of give away your zoning and you give away your conservation. So, you know, for someone who's gone to environmental meetings for 20 years in my position, it seems kind of counterintuitive of everything that we were talking about for a long time about preservation. So these are things that we see we have weakness in. And again, there is a charter commission, and it's sort of a constitutional amendment convention. You can, if you want more, this is an opportunity to say to the state, this entity has done a good job for us. We bring in a lot of money. We have a small budget, but we manage millions and millions of dollars for the region that come in and get dispersed to the towns. So that really is, we are a conduit for that. We can convene the towns, we can bring people together to build up some sort of consensus and then collaboration on the way forward. That is really a gift of this regional government, and we're all part of it. So it's not like there's animosity. We're not trying to say this town's better than that. We're trying to fix it all. But there is a limit to what we can do. I think we have a proven track record that we're responsible. We're not a patronage county. We're not the reason why counties we're getting rid of. So there's more to come, and we're here to do what we can.
Let me just make a point. That letter, there was a request that came to us. We did respond to it. There was a fairly detailed response from
Right.
us, as well as the Cape Cod Commission, in terms of where our authority lies and how our role is to fit in these 40B reviews.
So
And we're happy to have maybe a separate discussion on
Right.
what we could do maybe
This game
better
on.
together, or maybe we can have a more focused discussion on that.
And that goes to my next point, is, you know, to me, the Cape is very different geologically than
Absolutely.
than the majority of the Commonwealth. What's right for Fitchburg is harmful to the Cape.
But Jeff, if I can just
Well,
add to that.
let me just
Okay, we
say,
have-
I wonder would the commission, as a regional governing body, and this is just my thinking, right? We've got to push back somehow, and an individual town doesn't have the leverage to push.
Right.
So would the regional government have an interest in taking up an initiative where you do some public outreach, you talk to the select boards of each town, you find out whether or not the majority of select boards, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the majority of select boards are in favor of how the 40B 800-pound gorilla comes down here and tells us how to operate. And I want to make it clear, I'm not stating that affordable housing is not on the forefront of everybody's list in every town. But if you were to take a poll and find out that the majority of select boards and the public who views the select board meetings, because that's their outlet, is not satisfied with the 40B process and how it's affecting our region, would it be something that the regional government could take to Boston? And I think the word was lobby legislators,
Right.
to have them look at this through a different lens and try to save this incredible resource that we have down here that is, you know, slowly declining. You know, you were you commented in the, or you commented in the Chronicle this week, and you made it very clear that we have no ability to fight back on the 40Bs. But I think regionally, we could. And that's my question to you all. Is that an initiative that you'd be interested in taking up?
Let me answer this, Mark.
Okay.
Go ahead.
First of all, yes, it's true that the Cape Cod Commission specifically is exempted by the legislation from overseeing 40Bs, okay? You gotta understand that. I mean, you're not gonna go around it. To give them a discretionary referral, and the Cape Cod Commission review is not just us sitting in a room. We have various people who look at various aspects of a project, hold subcommittee meetings, do decisions, make recommendations to the full commission, and the people who are the proponents of these developments don't even have to show up. They'll just totally ignore it, because they know at the end of the day, the commission doesn't have any authority. So I heard when you guys, if I can use that, you guys asked for a discretionary referral, and I know you shouldn't have done that. You must have known from the very beginning that they had no authority to do
They
that.
didn't.
Now, let me answer the question directly. Is there a way to get out from under 40B? And the answer is yes. You can do one of two ways. One is you can build enough affordable housing over 10% so that you're no longer under the gun. The other way, and Mark touched on it, is that Martha's Vineyard Commission had, or at least they thought they had the authority to regulate 40Bs for many years. A developer took them to court, and the Supreme Court said, no, they don't. One of the ways that Martha's Vineyard's going to fight back was to use a legislative solution, just as you suggested. To go to the legislature and give the Martha's Vineyard Commission the authority to regulate 40Bs. If that happens, we can solicit our delegation to say, while you're doing that, why don't you add the Cape Cod Commission to that legislation and give the Cape Cod Commission the authority to regulate 40Bs?
I'm going to push back on that. Why don't you do that?
Right.
Why wait for Martha's Vineyard?
Because it's
The
not,
thing is,
because it's,
Jump on board.
let me
Yeah,
be informative,
please,
okay?
please.
It's
Yeah.
going through the
You're-
courts.
Understood.
The legislation is not going to be proposed
have other
until the
things on
court,
this
the
agenda,
court,
unfortunately.
makes a decision, yes or no. The commission is,
This is a whole
Martha's Vineyard
separate
Commission is suing. So yes,
Yeah.
we're watching the process.
I'm going to push back again respectfully. I think Martha's Vineyard, while they're going through their process, and I'm familiar with their process and where it stands, but I think there'd be a lot more power and teeth in it if the regional government jumped on board and said, hey, we support what they're doing. Now, that might not be where you're at right now, or it might be. I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't be sitting back waiting for that to finish to then decide whether or not to enter
Yeah.
the water. So last point on this one. We're going in the wrong direction. And I think the population of Cape Cod is looking at regional government and saying, help, because local government can't do it. So, happy to listen.
okay, I just want to say, this is a whole other conversation that could be had in itself with many other
Agreed.
towns. So I think that we should follow up on this conversation. I know that we have a time limit, and we could be here all day, Jeff.
That's right.
So we should have another conversation about this and go through all of your different points. And we'd love you to come to our meeting or join in on a Zoom or whatever we're doing while we're kind of
I
the
think,
house.
I think the message is clear.
Yeah.
This has not come up as an issue in other towns, but it's important here, so we need to take this back. And I welcome the opportunity
No-
to
no
engage
one-
in a broader conversation.
No other town has given their feedback about 40B?
40B to us and our meetings.
I see, okay.
Now, I
Fair
know,
enough.
I've read in the
Fair
news,
enough.
this is the first time we're hearing this from the Select Board on the Cape,
You hear
and
from a lot of
duly noted.
Please.
John?
Yeah, I just want to
I know
wrap
Don's
up
going to
with-
give it to me here. Come on, go ahead.
I am kind of, I'm going to support Jeff here.
Okay.
I was more or less the architect of that letter. That letter was not designed to get an action. No,
Okay.
shame on you. It was designed to expose what you had said before is disingenuous. We at the town level do not have the authority. Housing, roads, water, sewer. Name me one of those where we have preeminent authority over anything. The bottom line here is, and Sheila had this conversation with me about 6 months ago, and I absolutely appreciated it because she drilled down into the essence of this whole thing. We don't really want to invite big box businesses. Why are we inviting big box housing? And the problem here is, that it's essentially like a car that you've given us as parents, but you've taken the keys away. There is no way for us to do these things at local boards because we're prohibited too. We're directed to accept certain things, especially with the ZBA and 40B comprehensive permits. It's disingenuous to say, well, you know, you guys are the first line of defense. We have less authority than you do. What we really need is a partnership, as Jeff is suggesting, for us to all pull together and say to the state, there's a reason that Don B. Griffin wanted the state of Cape Cod. It's
Right.
because we're totally ignored.
No, understood. There are other issues where select boards have approached us to come together. We've had discussions through not only the county commissioners, but also the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association. I encourage you all to feel comfortable participating with that group. That's
It's gotta be the legislature, it has to be.
no, but that group has been quick to write to the legislators on a whole range of issues similar to this. So I'm just saying, we can certainly prioritize and put a focal point on an issue like this, but also I encourage you to participate in the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association. Shireen Eldridge, Shireen Davis is here, and she's been the leader of that board. I've been a leader of the board. The new leader is Leslie Sandberg. And we're going to be having a board meeting relatively soon. I think this is something that we definitely need to put on the agenda for that group as well.
Yep.
Because it's important that the select board speak as one voice. It's good for the county to be there and unified with the towns, but it's also good to get the various select boards on board in terms of their concerns. I just want to make one final point, and then we really have to move on, Jeff.
I have a few more.
Okay,
I've
then
waited
I'm going to go right back to
years
you.
for this opportunity.
Go real quick.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may. Thank you. I'm going to push back a little, stating that, on Ron's point, that the local regulatory boards, that's where it starts. That is not where it starts. We have plenty of one-offs where people are building and developing 2, 3, 4 units, developments. This is a state-born crisis, in my opinion, not a local, to push it off on the local planning boards and and the ZBA, I think is disingenuous. I'll leave that at that. I would say that when I look at regional government and I watch your meetings, part of my conflict with having any kind of confidence in regional government, I'll direct everybody to the April 1st meeting where you took fire, Mr. Forrest, and I appreciate you being in there and your calm demeanor and you answering to the delegates when you were at the delegate meeting. Allegations that were flying around like you were trying to terminate the delegates. Our representative said that we're the legislative and you're the executive, you come to us, we don't go to you. And then lastly, the commissioners were accused of derailing their efforts on, I believe it was the charter change. Now, whether any of that's true or not, when the public views that,
Right.
there is
Not the backstory.
absolutely no room anywhere in my mind to have confidence in regional government when the commissioners and the delegates are literally going at each other in a meeting. Now, I will absolutely upfront admit the town of Harwich and our select board, we've had our challenges. Every board has them. But I think when you guys asked what we think you guys could do better, get it together up top. Get on the same page. You know, the budget issue was a couple of years ago when I think $800,000 was removed from a budget. That created animosity. I'm going to leave that one at that because I know we have a time crunch here. Lastly, I will say that Mr. Frederickson at that April 1st meeting made a point, and this is my final point to everybody here. Without communication, without open communication, without the willingness to go and seek, right, meaningful public input on your initiatives. I don't know how, without public input, public outreach, or coming before a select board, how do you even qualify, or what data do you use to create your initiatives? we feel, I'll speak for myself, not for the rest of my board. I've been on the board 3+ years. I haven't seen any of you. I haven't seen our delegate, and I haven't seen our rep from the Cape Cod Commission in 3 years. Now, if we're supposed to go to them, I'll go to them. I'll go anywhere. But you have 5 of us in one place. You have the entire public residents of Harwich watching. Why not make it easier for everybody and come to our meetings once every, or 4 times a year? Our delegates should be there whenever a new initiative is on the table, prior to their vote. And I think our Cape Cod Commission representatives should come. And I don't mean to make it sound like we're looking to give them direction or give them approval or denial. We're looking for information transfer to the public, and the easiest way to do that is at a select board meeting. So if you all want buy-in from your locals, show up and be part of what the locals do every Monday night. I can't thank you all enough for being here. I'm done, thankfully. I think everybody's happy that I'm done. But I really appreciate you all listening and having the open mind to maybe take these suggestions away and improve upon a system that I believe we all want to be a part of in a bigger way. So thank you all.
I think it's very
you, Joe.
positive. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
I know you're trying to speed up the meeting. I just want to introduce our town administrator, Jay McGrail, see if he has any words to say.
Yeah, no, I just follow up on the, hard to follow that. Important conversation. But a couple of the things that the town does utilize, and I think that your point, Mark, that departments are pretty engaged with the county on a day-to-day basis, separate from the conversation that you're having about the board interaction. The Aqua Fund is a program that's super important to us. We just started the 3A sewer project, which is the next phase in our 9-phase sewer planning. And I heard from a lot of residents, like, how am I gonna pay for these sewer stubs? And to be able to point them towards the Aqua Fund, I think was a really, very helpful thing for a lot of our residents, so appreciate the work on that. We just entered, our housing trust just entered into an agreement with the county for the shared regional housing services that you're gonna help provide them. We had a gap in staffing in the town in a position that was providing that, and the county was able to help, so thank you for that, for the shared housing services. We utilize the IT service. I don't know if you're aware or not,
Oh, yes.
but
We are very well
We
aware.
know about
yeah,
that.
we're very, very involved with the IT services solution that you offer. And, you mentioned it a few times, and it would not be fair for me not to thank you for the work that you did around the dredging this spring. We had some real challenges associated with time of year restrictions, and the county, the individual that runs the dredge program for you guys really put his neck out and really helped hard to make sure that we got it done before the 4th of July. We were in a critical situation with all 3 of our harbors. And without that work with the county, potentially some of our harbors would have been closed this summer. So, important there. And then finally, I come from a town. I have a relationship with Mike. We worked in neighboring communities a few years back, and we did a lot with Plymouth County. And I know you were mentioning that you want to expand your procurement services and what you provide to the town, but I'd be crazy not to say, like, what you guys, the base of what you provide is way better than like what Plymouth County provides on the procurement end. So always obviously open to more procurement help because it's a big part of what we do. But yeah, the program that you have in place, the base is pretty high. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jay. What people don't realize is that our procurement office alone, by doing regional purchasing, we're saving each town thousands and thousands
And that has
of
to be with
dollars
us more.
every year. And it's amazing what this small operation within the county does. But this effort, and I appreciate you bringing that up, if we can provide more savings and help the towns even more, we're very interested in finding ways to do that. So thank you. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I've only been here since March, so I think the larger conversations that the board was having with you are a lot of what's dictated the conversations at our level. But these are programs, the Public Health Collaborative, Carrie's here, she participates in that. There's a lot of services from a department level that we do utilize and appreciate.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, Mark, and your fellow Select Board members is to move on to the next item on our agenda. I'd like to get Christy Senatori up to provide an update on the hazard mitigation planning work that the commission has been doing. But before Christy starts, Commissioner Lyons, did you have something that you wanted to?
No, we were talking about services in different departments, and one thing that I think Howard should feel good about, and there was their delegate in previous years, really pushed the initiative of the Human Rights Commission. And when that was being, sort of have the concept of that and what it would do, a lot of people on the board, of the commission board that I sat on, didn't really see, I'm a social work background, so I saw the benefit of it. But even today, we see even more. Who would have thought we would have needed a Human Rights Commission to stand and talk about the rights of individuals? And that was Ray Gottwald, who was your former delegate. And I just wanted to give him kudos, because that is how things do bubble up to the top and get done. It does take, a small group of people to really push a concept and make sure it happens. So thank you to he and to the town of Harwich. So.
Very good. Let's move on to the Cape Cod Commission. Welcome.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Nice to see you all, Select Board members, again. So we are here specifically to talk about the hazard mitigation plan that's been developed for Harwich, but want to pull it back a little bit to talk about some of our climate and coastal resiliency work. I know we only have about 10 minutes or so this morning, so we'll try to be brief. But I know a lot of the focus has been on the work of our regulatory program. That does sound like it will require some further discussion and dialogue, and we're certainly happy to do that. But right now I want to focus a little bit more on some of those technical services that we do provide to our communities in this area. And certainly climate and coastal resiliency planning is something that is important at not only the regional scale, but the local scale. We are all joined in terms of our resiliency needs and in terms of our coastal environment here in the region. And this does require a lot of consideration as we move forward. So as you know, several years ago, we did develop a climate action plan for Cape Cod, and in it contains a number of recommendations and regional actions that we're moving forward with, but it also contains a number of local recommendations and strategies and opportunities for us to work with the local communities to implement many of those strategies. You probably recall our low-lying roads assessment. We worked with all 15 communities to identify and prioritize roadway segments that are vulnerable, and then come together and develop design adaptations for these road segments, which we're hoping we'll be able to move forward with in implementation. We've also worked with many of our communities on municipal greenhouse gas emissions analysis. We have a regional inventory, and taking that to an even more granular level is helpful for our communities as they're looking at climate and coastal resiliency planning. You can see we've worked with a number of communities, and we look forward to working with several other communities over the course of the next 6 to 12 months. We've also developed a number of model bylaws, which many of our communities are taking advantage of, including those communities in the Pleasant Bay area. And so certainly these are also opportunities that are available to our communities. And then a new initiative that we are seeking funding for is really kind of a result of a lot of the disaster work that we know needs to happen here in the region, and our disaster resiliency planning initiative would support a new plan that can identify mitigation actions and priorities for future investments, identifying those vulnerable infrastructure needs and opportunities to increase resiliency in our region, especially from an economic perspective, will be critical as we move forward. We're only seeing increased impacts from climate change, increased weather impacts, extreme weather events, and so making sure that we have a plan in place to address this resiliency need is going to be critical moving forward. And then lastly, before I hand it over to Martha Heavener, wanted to mention an item that's a little bit further down on your agenda today. That's our EEA Regional Resilience Program, and we received a grant just recently that's on your agenda for approval today. It's a $445,000 grant that will take us from now through the June of 2028. And this is, the initial phase of this is really to be developing a scope for the Regional Planning Agency to really work with our municipalities, with the tribal governments to prepare and respond to climate change impacts. So more to come on that, but wanted to at least highlight that for you since that is a little bit further down on your agenda today. But something that we do fairly frequently is provide technical assistance in terms of hazard mitigation planning. And so I'm going to hand it to Martha Heavener. She's been the one really leading this project on our behalf for the town of Harwich, and she's going to walk through some of the elements of that plan and kind of where that is in the planning phase.
Thanks, Christy, and good morning, everyone. I haven't been before the county commissioners in years, and so it's nice to see you all, and it's great to be in Harwich.
See you.
Just before I get started, I just want to say that Harwich's hazard mitigation plan was just certified by FEMA, so the timing of this meeting and holding it in Harwich is just perfect. I'd like to spend a lot more time talking about hazard mitigation plans, but I know your agenda is packed, so I'm going to go very quickly through these to get to the Harwich plan. So I'm going to talk about hazard mitigation plans, local hazard mitigation plans throughout Cape Cod. And just to start off, hazard mitigation plan is a long-term strategy that's developed by local government to identify and reduce the risk of natural hazards, enabling communities to be more resilient and eligible for FEMA funding. The reason why towns do their local hazard mitigation plans is, of course, to reduce the potential for damage from hazards to property and to human lives. But I want to say that the real main motivator for doing the plans is to be eligible for that FEMA funding. And all the towns that the commission has worked with on their hazard plans have pursued and obtained FEMA funding after completing their hazard mitigation plans. So that's a very big carrot. Just to let you know that, when you look at these hazard mitigation plans, they seem quite long, and there's a lot of information that might seem excessive, but this is a prescribed process, and the content is also prescribed by FEMA. So if a community wants a certified plan from FEMA to be eligible for funding from FEMA, you have to meet the FEMA requirements, which are provided in their planning policy guide, their mitigation plan and policy guide. We also look to the state's hazard mitigation and climate action plan for guidance on what types of hazards Cape Cod may be subject to. Being a FEMA certified plan involves a process that FEMA dictates, and all our towns have to follow that process in order to be certified by FEMA. I won't go through the details here, but happy to talk about it anytime, anyone's more interested. Just wanted to let you know that all towns on Cape Cod do have a hazard mitigation plan. We've got several towns that are approved from FEMA and are current. We've got 2 now that recently received, in 2026, an update that was certified by FEMA, and that's Harwich and Yarmouth. And then we've got a few that are in progress now, including Chatham, Eastham, and Provincetown. And there are a few that have expired, and that is in Bourne, Dennis, and Truro. And I want to say that Cape Cod Commission staff has worked with and contracted with almost all towns on Cape Cod to complete their hazard mitigation plans. Plan content, no surprises there, and won't go through the details now, but they're all just about the same. The hazards that we look at come from the state's plan, as I mentioned a moment ago. All the towns on Cape Cod, going through that list from the state, have found no surprises that the hazards that are listed in the state plan are all relevant to Cape Cod, with the exception of landslides and tsunamis. Our communities have felt that's not too relevant for Cape Cod.
Yes.
So now I just want to take a moment, knock on wood.
Yeah.
I do want to take a moment to talk about the Harwich Hazard Mitigation Plan. As I said, just recently certified by FEMA, and there are a few members of the project team here. Christine Flynn, the town planner, was the lead on that project, and I know I saw Amy in the back there too. And I just want to say it was just wonderful working with the town of Harwich staff on this project. I was part of the team that worked with them back in 2018, and I'm always so impressed that when town staff get together, there is a kind of synergy in the room, and it's really impressive to see. And this plan, I have to say, is outstanding. Just to give you a sense of who's on that team and who was on it for Harwich, I suggest you take a look at the job titles and affiliations. That will give you a sense of the interdisciplinary nature of the local planning team that puts together the hazard plan. And again, it's really impressive how their knowledge and expertise in everything they do just comes together when they are together in a room talking about what can they do for Harwich to reduce Harwich's vulnerability to hazards. Harwich did a lot of public outreach on the plan, and I'll just note, part of that outreach included a public survey, and I don't know what it is about Harwich, but back in 2018 and in 2026, Harwich topped all towns for the number of responses in their public survey, so.
Good for
Good
Harwich.
on Harwich. I think the tornado in 2019
Yeah.
got a lot more people interested in hazards. I just want to touch on also, and I'm going to go through this really quickly, but the mitigation actions are sort of, they're really the linchpin of the hazard mitigation plan. And if you want funding for something, put it in the hazard mitigation plan. And that's, I sometimes tell the towns, think of this as sort of like your shopping list or it's your dream list. What you want, get it in the plan, and that will help you get funding. And the Harwich staff really worked well together to come up with a range of different types of mitigation actions. So they've got natural systems protection actions. So these are things like, for example, designing and implementing options to address coastal flooding at North Road. Here we go, work with Barnstable County Cooperative Extension and Cape Cod Commission to collect and map data on beach area erosion. So those are some examples of natural systems protection actions. Harwich also included structure and infrastructure project actions, and these tend to be a little bit more costly. Get them in the plan, get the funding. And you can tell from the list there's some big ticket items on there, including culvert replacement projects, wastewater and stormwater projects, work at Saquatucket Harbor, and just additional culvert replacement. There's also actions that are a little bit cheaper, but just as effective. Look at your plans and your regulations. One suggestion was working together with neighboring towns and conducting a sediment transport study to study how erosion and accretion happens along the coastline. And also, I believe Christie just mentioned developing new regulations to address wetland and other sensitive areas that interplay with hazard mitigation reduction. And then finally, a really important piece that also sometimes gets overlooked, but it is nonetheless very important, is education and awareness. And I just want to say on that first bullet there, one of the actions was to develop a mental health response plan to address climate change, hazard event stress, impacts on community well-being. And kudos to Harwich on that. I believe it was their Director of Youth and Community Services who came up with that idea. And we do hear from the public about stress, climate stress. There's a number of stressors, as we've heard earlier, housing stress, food insecurity. And this is the first town to come up with that idea, and I thought it was quite impressive. Just also note that the hazard mitigation plan also provides an opportunity for the town to showcase all the good work that it's been doing. And this is just, we put in a list of just some of the projects that the town has done since the last plan. And I encourage people to read the plan, because sometimes you don't know. You don't know all the good stuff that your town's doing, and it's very impressive. So unfortunately, I have to wrap it up. I'd love to talk more, but just congratulations to Harwich and all the good work that you've done on your hazard mitigation planning.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our Harwich Select Board. Do you have any questions or comments to make regarding this before do you have to leave?
I just want to know why you kept looking at me, saying I'm going to wrap it up quickly. Obviously, I got the point.
I was looking at the painting.
You did a great job, and thank you, and kudos to Harwich. What a nice job
Absolutely.
we've done.
You two can talk later.
We'll talk later, but our staff, absolutely, they're aces. Thank you all.
Agree.
Great. Good. Thank
Anything
you.
else, Christie?
Yeah, do this again,
Yes.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
not every decade.
Yeah, no, we'll do it soon. No, I think we have to do it on a regular
That's
basis.
great. Thank you very much.
Great.
Okay.
Good. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the table for the moment the local aid report, because in the interest of time, we have a lot of people here that are joining us today to talk about food insecurity as a regional issue. This transcends Harwich. You folks are welcome to stick around with us. I know many of you have other engagements, other conflicts. I'm looking at the clock, so feel free to move on. I'm going to take a quick 2-minute recess so folks can get organized for the next presentation. I'm going to ask the folks from the food pantries and the food organizations to come closer and see if I can get at least some of the people that will be speaking to come up and get themselves situated at the
Mr.
table.
Forrest, we're going to adjourn, if that's okay?
Go right ahead.
Motion to adjourn our meeting?
Second.
Really?
Aye.
So, and you grew up in
I grew up in Barcelona.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I think you kind of feel, you don't have to do it, but now with the French Fair coming up, it's probably even better you're on this side of it. But, this is very interesting.
Thank you so
You're
much.
very welcome.
I'm
You're
gonna
on your
take
way
off.
out.
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
all right, we'll be
More
back.
things to do.
Yes, there is
I
definitely.
really appreciate you.
Okay.
And I'd love to continue to work with you.
Okay. For some reason, I always say the right thing. No, I mean, I really do. I'm very passionate about this. I'm passionate about the county government. I think there's a lot you can do. The whole thing with this. After it was done and everything, you gotta come back because so-and-so is in your seat. Well, it is, and not many people get it. And I said that's But what I did is, I'd get invitations to attend, like, we're gonna see the culvert. Very nice to meet you. Okay, congratulations on your appointment, and yes, I'm gonna have to get to more, I used to be that, maybe next year I'll be the commission. That was good. Yeah. Okay, good luck, enjoy yourself. All right. And that's what I did, I went to all these, I'm like, so, but I went and they're like, oh my God, look at Kay.
Yeah, right. It's
And,
amazing when that happens.
yeah, it was like, here we're doing this work and, one of our officials, hi, and I'm glad you did, so.
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
So I'm gonna give you a call,
My face.
and just chat about it, let's have a beer somewhere, let's go out private drink, and we can just talk about a lot of things. And what's the best way forward, because this group. So, I gotta get, I'll tell you what, but. No, Howard, Wellesley really is, Wellesley so, they keep electing the same people, even though they hate them. Over and over, I feel like.
Derek.
No. Shannon's doing a presentation downtown on safety at sea.
Yeah, Derek graduated in like 91, I think.
You were next
Yeah, we better look at it. See you later.
Well, John Whitten is her boss, and John is.
Walking the same pathway with my
Good.
And she thinks she's,
What's that?
2001.
Okay, folks, I'm going to ask everybody to grab your coffee,
I gotta run.
do your business. Start in 1
Do
minute.
you remember Michael Gleason?
all right, we'll be sooner than later.
Okay.
Michael's losing weight. You look good.
I'm trying so freaking.
Oh, you're out there getting in shape. Hopefully you're not injecting yourself.
Talk about food insecurity, so I'm
No.
hungry.
You
Yeah,
guys
there you go.
provided.
There you go.
Right.
Make this muffin.
I think they're from the Grateful Mug, which is a great organization.
Okay, guys. Hey, Jay, are you sticking around? Are you sticking around? Okay.
He's got stuff to do.
Want to make sure we don't lose track of you.
What if I said no?
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for your patience, indulgence. That was a very interesting and very spirited conversation. But I want to make sure that we're going to put this local aid report on hold for them. We're going to put that on the table, and we're going to get right into this next agenda item. And I want to turn this portion of the meeting over to Mike McGuire and Andrea. And we want to talk about hunger on Cape Cod. We want to talk about food insecurity. For the commissioners, it's just important for everyone to know this has been a growing concern of ours. And the work that you all do is incredible. And we appreciate everything that you're doing because you know we have a challenge on our hands. You know we're facing a hunger crisis that's worsening on Cape Cod, and you are to be applauded for stepping up and doing everything that you can to help meet this crisis. What I hope today that we can do, and I'm going to ask Andrea to introduce folks and make sure that we get to know everybody who's here, because there are a lot of organizations that are represented in this room and at least deserve to be acknowledged. What we want to do is find ways we can come together and help you all and provide more support as a region to take on and help address this growing challenge facing our communities here on Cape Cod. So, Andrea, Michael, I'm going to turn this over to you folks. And again, I want to thank everybody for being here. We know you got a call kind of at the last minute that this was on the agenda. But we really wanted to, as a board, give this sufficient attention. So we're prepared to stay here as long as it takes to get through this topic and understand what your needs are, what your challenges are, and how we can work together to address them. So, Michael, Andrea.
Thank you, Chairman Forrest. Mike McGuire, I'm the Director of the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, think of it kind of like the Natural Resource Department for the county. So going back to about 6 years to 2020 during COVID, a group of leadership had proposed bringing in a food access coordinator for the county. Certainly COVID put a spotlight on a problem that we've all known for a long time has plagued this region. And 40B and affordable housing certainly are things that get a lot of attention, and we really appreciate the opportunity today to talk about other things that are of equal importance. And frankly, we're hitting crisis status in our community with food, nutrition, food access needs. So the county had decided to put the food access coordinator in the Cooperative Extension Department, but this is a need that crosses departments. Andrea works very closely with Human Services, with our Health Department, with Emergency Management, with the new department that you've created. So there's a lot of folks internally that are communicating needs. And we have now our community partners here, so I really should stop talking, let Andrea do a quick intro, and let everybody get to talking about the good work they've been doing. So.
Well, good morning, and thanks so much for having us here today. We are joined by so many of our community partners who are in the food system landscape doing the great work on the ground. However, we have about 40 different organizations doing meal programs and food pantry support. So this is just a small sampling of our food system at large. So today we are going to hear from quite a number of different people because we wanted to give you a diverse perspective of the need on the Cape and what some of the biggest challenges are each of our organizations are facing and how we might be able to better support them. As well as we have extra people too, other partners who have joined us, and I'm sure they would love a chance to share their brief reflections as well. So today you're going to hear from me giving a broad regional perspective of food security, but we will also hear from Leo Blanford from Outer Cape Health, Carrie Schroner from the Town of Harwich Health Department, Jeff Cornish, the Family Pantry of Cape Cod.
Can you go through the names just a little bit slower?
Oh,
I'm
sure.
gonna
And
ask
let
folks
them
just to-
at least
if they could
raise their
hand
hand,
when their
correct,
names go.
yeah.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
Okay, I'll start at the beginning. Leo Blanford from Outer Cape
Out
Health.
of Cape Health.
We have Carrie Schroner from the Town of Harwich Health Department. We have Jeff Cornish from the Family Pantry of Cape Cod. We have Karen Delaney from the Family Service Center. Lori Rome from the Hands of Hope Food Pantry in West Harwich. We have Renee Bouter from the Canaan SDA Church. We have Katie Wibby from Lower Cape Outreach Council. We have Shireen Davis, Chatham Harvesters Cooperative. We have Seth Rollbine, Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance. And then if time allows, we also have Jenny Wheeler from the Family Table Collaborative. We have Michael Gleason from the Cape Cod Veterans Outreach. And
Great.
then, am I missing anybody else? Oh, we have Fernando Fonseca from Harbor Healthcare. I think I might have everybody. So we have a wide range of people to share with you about the work that they're doing.
And if I could just say, this is a small sampling because we know that there's so many different food pantries and that are manned by volunteers across the Cape, so thank you to all of them as well.
So food insecurity is surging at the same time that federal support has dropped dramatically. We have seen that. Food pantries, and you'll hear the meal distributors and have seen the strain in their work, making cross-county collaboration all the more important. We are working all together to reduce duplication of services and increase efficiencies, making sure that we protect the resources that we have on the Cape. Well, Cape Cod is more than just a vacation wonderland. We all know that. In the past year, in 1 year alone, we saw an increase in food security needs from 20% to 34%. And hunger is not just, food security is not a standalone challenge. It is deeply connected with all the other regional challenges, such as housing, workforce issues, transportation gaps, behavioral health. That is why we work so closely with the healthcare communities. We work with Cape Cod Commission very closely in some of our planning efforts. So we definitely work very closely across all different sectors to make sure that we're planning accordingly to meet these needs. So some of the things that make the Cape more unique than other parts of the Commonwealth is that we have an older population. We have one of the oldest populations in the Commonwealth, and not just along in the state, but also across the country. We're a seasonal economy. People are barely making it through in the summer season, and there's lots of jobs, and they're making lots of money, and then off-season, employment decreases, and then also distance, and we have a lot of rural communities. And trying, even just from our planning perspective for food security projects, trying to find ways to logistically move food throughout the outer and lower Cape is challenging. And how do we work together and make sure that all regions on the Cape receive their equitable share of the resources that we have? Here is just a really quick smattering of our different programs that we're working at Cape Cod Cooperative Extension. If you want me to talk more about it at a later time, I'd be happy to do it. The first one is the 2026 Food System Assessment of Southeastern Mass. This is a 6-county-wide food system assessment led by the Marion Institute. This has never been done before. We know that food security doesn't stop at the borders of each town or county. And so we're, for the first time, really connecting with all the different county leads to not just see where our gaps and strengths are within each area, but also how can we share our best practices and not duplicate different efforts. Some other quick programs that we have is another one led by the Marion Institute, the CARET Community and Agriculture and Fisheries Resilience Audit. It's a tool that we're using this past year. We worked with food system stakeholders from across all the different food system parts, measuring food system resilience on the Cape. So we're looking at vulnerabilities. And not just us, but all those other 5 counties are doing the same work that we are. And we're trying to get baseline data so we know year after year, are we improving, are we decreasing in what we're doing, and how can we best put our resources to supporting and strengthening our infrastructures and for planning purposes. And what we can do with this data is also look at the other counties that we're partnering with and see how we can best leverage our strengths in order to cover each other's vulnerabilities. The next one is a grant from the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources we received. It's a capacity building grant for the Cape Cod, well, we just changed the name, Cape and Island Hunger Network. And this is an operational and governance planning project so that we can ensure that the Cape and Islands Hunger Network that's been in existence for 20 years plus will be operational for the next 20 years to come so that we could do more policy and advocacy through the Cape and Islands Hunger Network, as well as launch more regional projects. The Cape Cod Food Connection, it's a grant through the Mass Department of Environmental Protection. We've been hearing from our food partners that they need more food resources or they need more money to buy food. So this is a great opportunity for us to build a regional food rescue program from the ground up. All of our partners will benefit from it to make sure that we are getting food out of the landfill and redirecting it to the people who can get it out to those who need it. And the last one is the Cape Cod Shared Learning Project led by Outer Cape Health. And this is really gathering data, but through stories. We all have amazing stories about these regional issues, and Outer Cape Health is launching this initiative with our partnership to help uncover the stories in our community so we can do a better job with planning and making sure we do more to support our partners. So with that, I will hand it over to our partners, and I know a lot of people are on a time constraint, so I'm gonna go out of order a little bit. But we'll start with Leo Blanford from Outer Cape Health. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Andrea, for helping frame this conversation, for helping to facilitate this process. I think that what you did is help to shape food insecurity is not simply just a collection of local challenges. It's a regional challenge that requires regional collaboration. And I'd like to kind of build off of by sharing some challenges that we see within the healthcare system. Food insecurity, it doesn't just walk into our health center and say, I'm hungry. It arrives as type 2 diabetes, it arrives as hypertension, heart disease, kidney disease, symptoms of depression, falls among older adults, and increasingly as obesity. One of the biggest lessons that we are learning is that obesity and malnutrition can exist at the same time. Someone can consume enough or even too many calories while still lacking the nutrition their body needs because healthy food is too expensive, too far away, or it's too difficult to access. Healthcare is increasingly recognizing that many patients have health-related nutritional needs. Food insecurity is one part of the picture, but the larger issue is whether people can consistently access the nutrition they need to prevent medical conditions. So these aren't simply kind of medical diagnoses that we're talking about. They are often downstream effects to unmet nutritional needs across community conditions that help shape them. So healthcare is where those community conditions become medical conditions. As the demand for food assistance rises, demand for healthcare rises with it. We simply cannot treat our way out of a food system that isn't producing health. We are already beginning to see effects that these changes are coming through Medicaid, through SNAP, and other community programs. And the impact of these changes are going to show up on CAPE in the exam room. They're going to show up in our food pantries, they're going to show up in our schools, they're going to show up around kitchen tables. And when families are having to spend more on healthcare, when they're having to spend more on housing and utilities, food becomes the bill that they can control. Healthcare is increasingly recognizing health-related nutrition needs as essential parts of patient care. Nutrition isn't separate from healthcare, it's fundamental to the prevention, treatment, and long-term health. Food is Medicine Massachusetts is one example of what it looks like in practice. Through the Produce Prescription Program and other community partnerships, MassHealth is helping connect healthcare with local farms, food access organizations, and community partners because it improves health outcomes while reducing avoidable healthcare costs. On the Cape, as Andrea mentioned, these challenges are amplified by an older population, rising housing costs, transportation barriers, and seasonal economy. For too many residents, it's easier to buy food at the nearest convenience store than it is fresh food from farms and fisheries that surround us. We're surrounded by extraordinary resources, farms. We have one of the most productive fisheries in the world. The challenge isn't whether we produce healthy food. The challenge is whether our residents can reliably access them. This is not simply about personal choice. It's about how our food system is organized. Andrea described the regional coordination, and from a healthcare perspective, regional coordination is prevention. We each hold a different piece of the story. Public health sees community trends, food pantries understand immediate needs, outreach organizations understand barriers to access, farmers and fishermen understand local food systems, but together they paint a picture that no one organization can hold all together. Healthcare sees the consequence, public health sees the trends, food pantries understand immediate needs, outreach organizations understand barriers to access. So Farmers and fishermen understand the local food systems, but we are needing a process where we can all collaborate and help to realize what these stories, how these stories come up within the Cape Cod region. So if we are looking at every organization represented in this room collects information. What we're missing is not the data. It's a shared way of learning how to use that data. And so to make it easier, what often happens is it falls onto the resident to figure out how to maneuver through this complicated system. And so I think that if we can come up with a mechanism to help gather these stories so that we can regionalize this issue and work together on how we move forward in a more healthy way. So, yeah, so meeting nutritional need, I mean, it requires this more than a clinical referral. It requires healthcare, public health, food access organizations, agricultural, fisheries, municipalities, residents learning from one another about what is working and what's getting in the way, and how do we best utilize the resources that we have. The Cape Cod Sharing Learning Project is an important next step. The data tells us what's happening. Community help us understand why, and so shared learning helps us decide what happens next. Healthcare trains us to ask, what's wrong with this patient? But a shared learning encourages us to ask another question. What happens when community is producing the outcomes? And so if we have all these systems that are separate from each other, then how do we help to link them together? I think in the way that Andrea mentioned, this broader perspective of how do we collaborate with these other regions that are having the same problems to move forward in a much more informed way. So, you know, health doesn't begin in the hospitals, it begins in our towns. I think a lot of what we see on our farms, on our shellfish grants, on our fishing boats, in our schools, is that relationships connect people to nutritional food, and it connects us to each other. So shared learning isn't just about helping organizations coordinate better, it's about creating a system that continuously learns from residents' experiences, so people spend less time navigating disconnected services and more time accessing the resources that we need to stay healthy. County government can't help solve food insecurity alone, but it is uniquely positioned to convene partners, align efforts, support shared learning, and strengthen the relationship that allows residents to move through a system with greater clarity, dignity, and connection. So if healthcare teaches us anything, it's that healthier communities aren't created by healthcare alone. They are created when healthcare, public health, agriculture, aquaculture, social services, municipalities, community organizations, and residents all work as one system. So meeting health-related nutrition needs is a part of healthcare. Community is where health begins. And so shared learning is how we increase health and well-being in our communities. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leo.
Now, what I'd like to do is make sure that we give everybody a few minutes
Yeah.
to say something, and then we can have a conversation and a deeper dive in terms of where we go from here. So,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Leo.
Thank you very much.
We're going to go out of order because I know some people have to get back. Would you like to come? Yeah. Thank you.
Come on up.
Our Howard person.
No, I'm going to ask you to sit over here.
We'll
So,
sit over here
yeah, I
next
think
to
it's better mic'd over there so we can
Yep.
record.
And also, we can see you.
We can
Or
see you.
the
Yeah.
viewing audience can
Yeah.
see you.
Hi, I'm Lori Rome, and I am the pantry manager at the Hands of Hope Food Pantry and Outreach Center. We have been in business on the Cape since 1965, so there's been a long term for food insecurities. Hands of Hope, a program at the Cape Cod Council of Churches, service low-income households on Cape Cod with food and emergency and temporary financial requests. These services include a client choice in-person food pantry, food deliveries for those without transportation or medical issues, rental assistance to prevent eviction, utility payments to prevent disconnections, heating oil, school backpacks, holiday gifts for children, and household and personal items. The households we help consist of single people, adult, children, seniors, and vets. And I need to express, there is quite a few homeless people on Cape Cod that we deal with, which is sad. Our on-site thrift shop provides funds for our operating expenses, such as the rent, because we don't own our building. The pantry has grown 15% since 2022, particularly with working families, many who come on lunch breaks or during the evening hours. The current data for 2025, a total of 3,431 households with 15,401 family members visited the pantry 4,118 times for 18,781 bags of food. And we're just a small pantry. An additional 217 households had food delivery. So we, once a week, some really nice, kind people deliver food to them who cannot, for medical reasons, for people who don't have a car, who are homeless, all kinds of reasons. Food is donated by 15 local church and civic groups, business and community. 98 households with 165 family members received financial assistance for back rent to prevent eviction, heating oil, and overdue utilities. Holiday program assisted 198 families with 423 children. Distributed school backpacks to 172 children. 56 volunteers donated 500 hours to run the pantry, pick up food from the Boston Food Bank on Mondays, deliver food, assist with phone calls, help in the thrift shop, and many other duties. We have, as I told you, a bunch of fundraisers, such as a golf tournament in the fall. We're doing a fundraiser of lottery tickets, any way we can get money to come in. Because it's, like you were saying, there's less and less and less federal money. We have no federal money this year, and it's pretty sad. What else do I want to say? Oh, through COVID, we didn't have a generator because we rent the space, so we lost thousands and thousands worth of food, frozen that we had to throw away, frozen refrigerated food. So we're working on that now through a grant, hopefully to put a generator in this year. And that's pretty much what I want to say.
Thank you, Lori.
Oh, you're welcome. And I have these little
thank you.
pamphlets if
Yeah,
anybody
I'll
wants one.
Thank you so
Great.
much,
Okay,
Lori.
thank you so much.
I really appreciate
I
it.
appreciate you letting me go first
Oh, yeah.
because
You have a
we have
busy organ.
some volunteers couldn't come in today.
No, thank you so much, Lori.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Next up, we'll have Seth Rollby for Fishermen's Alliance.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Thank you for having me. Let me just say one thing at the outset. This is a rock star. This is an amazing person to work with. I think we all share that feeling. You really brought a lot to the table. Thank you. Thank you. Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance has been around for a long time. When COVID struck, we realized that we needed to try to do a couple things. Help our friends and neighbors who were facing food insecurity, and also keep our fishermen on the water if we could. The combination of those two things became a program called Small Boats, Big Taste. We make chowders, we make a stew, we try to use pretty much all local fish, though not all. We get processed everything in Massachusetts. We deliver to many beautiful people in this room and around the state. The Small Boats Big Taste program has just passed 2 million servings to food banks and food pantries in the state of Massachusetts. A lot of that has come here. And it's been a remarkable honor and success for me personally. I've really loved working on it. Andrea and the county came to us to create a kind of umbrella support system for our work. it included successfully getting funding from the federal government through Massachusetts Department of Agriculture, through what was called the LEFAP program, Local Food Assistance Program. And one of the beautiful things that we did for 2 years was every week, we brought about 125 containers of our 18-ounce chowders and stews to Capabilities in Dennis, where the Capabilities folks in their farm and with working through local farmers, organized by this one, created 125 boxes of fresh produce with local fish that went out to this community every week for 2 years. Just one of the programs, aside from the 2 million servings I'm talking about, okay, that the county was directly responsible for making happen. And I just want you all to know that. It was a tremendous success. Unfortunately, the federal government cut that funding. Tragic. We then organized, went up to the State House, and tried to get the state to substitute the federal support for an amazingly successful program like that. Brought people together from all over the state. Senator Eldridge was successful in inserting a $7 million earmark into the state budget this year that failed. But we'll stick with it. And we have confidence that that will happen. I will mention 2 other things very quickly for you as commissioners. The state, our state has a line item in the state budget called MEFAP. It's the Massachusetts Emergency Food Assistance Program. There's only maybe 5 states in the country that do this. It's funding that's dedicated directly to support food banks and food pantries like the one here in Harwich, all over the state. It helps support us, it helps support many other people. And I would urge you that when the time comes around, to ask our legislative delegation to continue to support that, which they already do. It's a very important piece of this. And it's a way that you can exert the great influence you have to keep that going. Just this week, I was standing in a parking lot in Hyannis with Jenny Wheeler's beautiful team of people, wherever she is.
Right behind
Oh,
you.
hi. Handing out, 1 week, 1 parking lot. I think we did about 370.
370. It was a low day for us, but
Yep.
370 in Hyannis.
And then the week before, I was in the Eastham Elks parking lot doing the same. Every one of them was getting some chowder from our people and beautiful prepared food from her people. And I just want to say that this stuff goes on all the time. I wish it didn't have to. It's a response to something that we all wish didn't exist and, in my opinion, doesn't have to exist. But the fact that the county's here and the fact that you're willing to do it really makes a huge difference. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Seth.
you. Thanks, Seth.
Renee Bouter from Canaan SDA Church.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Renee Butter from Buter Butter from Canaan SDA Church. I am talking about, on behalf of Canaan. At Canaan Food Pantry, we believe that food is more than nourishment. It is medicine, dignity, hope, and a pathway to a healthier life. Our mission is to provide individuals and families experiencing food insecurity with access to fresh, nutritious, and culturally appropriate food that support physical health, emotional well-being, and stronger communities. Food insecurity continues to affect many families across Cape Cod, as you all know, including hard-working individuals, seniors, immigrants, and family with children. Many people work long hours, yet still they struggle to afford healthy groceries. Because fresh food is often more expensive and time-consuming to prepare, many households rely on inexpensive, highly processed food that can contribute to chronic disease, Traditional food pantry often distribute primarily canned and shelf-stable products. While these foods are important during emergency, we would like to offer more options at Canaan. Canaan Food Pantry believes every person deserves access to healthy, fresh, and cultural familiar food. We are transforming our pantry into a place where family can choose food that nourish both body and spirit. Our goal is to increase the ability of fresh fruits and vegetables, lean protein, whole grains, dairy products, and culturally appropriate foods. We are grateful for the support that we get from Cape Cod Foundation through its infrastructure grant. With that grant, we can purchase freezer and fridge to keep meat and produce refrigerated. And for the partnership of the Family Pantry of Harwich. This partnership strengthens our ability to serve more families with dignity while expanding our capacity to safely store and distribute healthy food options. Our challenges is limited access to healthy food, food delivery for homebound individuals, growing demand due to unemployment and financial hardship. As you know, a lot of people now lost their status, such as the TPS for the Haitian and some other people. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Renee.
My apologies, we're all out of order with our list by
That's okay.
Carrie. Oh, thank you, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
Good morning, Carrie Scherner, Town of Harwich Health Department. Here today to talk a little bit about two initiatives that we have, our community fridge and our community garden, why we have invested in this for our residents. But first, I would like to start off by thanking Andrea and the County Extension. She's been a valuable partner by providing food resources, technical expertise, and community programming and helping drive the collaboration in this effort, so thank you. Food insecurity is about more than providing food. It's about improving health, reducing barriers, and building a stronger, healthier community. In 2024, the Lower Cape towns, with the help of the Public Health Collaborative, was able to conduct a public health needs assessment. Food insecurity was identified as one of the disparities in our region. Rising prices in the housing market, childcare expenses, cost of living increase without the increased salaries has had an enormous impact throughout the region. Furthermore, recent cutting of SNAP benefits and Medicare has only exacerbated this issue. Food insecurity is a public health issue. Access to healthy food improves physical health, mental well-being, and quality of life. Our goal is to build partnerships with local organizations to strengthen community food access. We worked with the town of Eastham Health Department to bring community fridges to our residents. The goal of the fridge was to provide free, healthy, ready-to-eat meals, so we could feed anyone regardless of access to cooking facilities. There are now, I think, about 8 community fridges either online or coming online. All but 2 are run by local public health. Keeping the fridge filled is completely dependent on funding and strong partners. The food from our fridge comes from various places, grant funding through SHAWS, community partners like our Council on Aging, the Harwich Chamber of Commerce, the Community Cooperative Extension, the Family Table Collaborative, Midnight Hour, and the People's Garden, which is our another initiative. Last year, we served about 2,000 meals through our People's Fridge, our community fridge, just to Harwich residents. The People's Garden is another initiative that we have started in Harwich. The goal is to grow healthy produce for our community, educate them on gardening and pest management, while empowering our residents to be more resilient. Again, last year, we produced about 2,000 pounds, or 200 pounds of produce from our community garden through donations and locally grown fruits and vegetables. What would help our programs is sustainable funding, support for infrastructure and volunteer coordination, and continued and stronger collaboration between municipalities and community organizations.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Good job.
Jeff from the Family Pantry of Cape Cod.
Thank you.
How are
Yeah,
you?
it's great to have the opportunity to be here. I appreciate everyone's attention to this particular matter as well, given its gravity. I am the new executive director for the Family Pantry. My name is Jeffrey Cornish. Yeah, it's a position I'm very pleased and proud to be to have at the moment, and I have a food security and refugee management background, so that's what I'm coming from. So the Family Pantry has been a perfect fit for me to be able to be back home. We have a family house and have for 2 generations in Eastham, and
Mind me asking, Jeff, where you were before you came here?
Yes, I was in Rwanda. So I was the country director for a USAID project in Rwanda to
Thank
support
you.
refugees.
Well, thank you for your service in the USAID program.
Yes.
A wonderful program. Hopefully, we can bring back to life in the near future.
Yes, I certainly hope so.
And
Yeah.
hopefully, we can continue to put you to good work here on Cape Cod.
You will, and it's happening already.
And I'm going to put you in touch with a person in Eastham who's also done work there, so,
Excellent.
okay,
Good.
similar stuff.
So I really just kind of wanted to give you an overview of what we're doing at the Family Pantry at the moment regarding the needs. So first of all, I want to give you an idea of scale. So we're serving about 800 people a week through the pantry in Harwich. We've noticed that we're also signing up more seniors through the COAs as well. This is particularly in Barnstable, Harwich, Eastham, and Orleans. Beginning in September, we intend to change the frequency of allowable visits. Right now, we're allowing people to come in every 10 days. We're going to shorten that to every 7 days, and perhaps reduce it even further depending on the response that we get. Regarding changes that we've seen, we're seeing fewer clients from the immigrant community, especially new immigrants to the Cape. We're seeing more people from new housing, the HAC shelter at One Love Lane in Harwich. People from there are signing up, and we're registering them to receive food. We're also registering many people from off Cape, so namely in Brockton, Taunton, New Bedford, and Fall River. We have applicants coming to Harwich Center for food. How has the county been helpful? Well, of course, Andrea's efforts to develop an emergency food preparedness planning group has been outstanding, and we're working on that. We're sitting in that group, and I think that will reap its benefits, particularly in the next emergency that we have, and people have access to food that did not have during the blizzard, and this will benefit really everyone in the region, not just Harwich. As far as our strategic planning is concerned at the Family Pantry, in an effort to fulfill our mission to provide food and clothing to all who need it, we're developing what we're calling a Reserves to Impact initiative. And this is a multi-year investment meant to strengthen our warehouse infrastructure, expand food distribution programming, and enhance our cooperation with partners and stakeholders. Our overarching goal is to serve more households by investing in both in the pantry's capacity and the capacity of our partners to address the growing needs of food insecurity across the Cape. So this is an initiative we will be taking on over the next few months.
It's great.
Thank you.
Great, thank
Jeff,
you.
thank you very much.
Amazing.
Falmouth Service Center.
Leo, any additions?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't have any additions.
We have Leo and Jim Still are both board members on the pantries, and they're joining us here today.
Yeah,
Please.
good.
Leo will correct me if I say anything wrong, but yeah, real quick, I'd like to second the notion about the great work that Andrea is doing, but also just to let you all know that really frankly, due to the generosity of our donors, we have the opportunity to really expand what we're doing on Cape Cod. And that's part of the strategic plan, you know, that Jeff just mentioned. And so we really look forward to working with you to find ways to expand what we do, you know, in areas on Cape Cod that have needs that maybe aren't being met right now. So
Yeah, I think our goal as a board is to expand the resources financially to sort of help all of the groups that are engaged in this sort of realize their dreams and their ambitions, because we know the problem is really getting significant.
Could you say your name?
Commissioner Bergstrom?
Yeah, just before we leave the family pantry, we did an assessment of our response to the recent, not so recent, but the snowstorms this winter, and I was informed that the family pantry prepared 15,000 meals. And I thought to myself,
It's a family.
that's not
That was the collaborative, it was Jenny's. Jenny's. Yeah, they'd like to, but that's okay. I'm sure everybody participated.
I'll skip that.
We'll get Jenny up here in a minute.
Could you say your name again?
Still.
Jim Still.
Yeah,
Thank you,
but we
Jim.
do, you know, the great thing is on the Cape, there's tremendous benefactors and donors out there who really want to help us and help the government meet the needs of people. And it's through their generosity that I think we're going to have the opportunity to expand. And
It's great to hear.
yeah, and we're very happy to have Jeff here leading it. So
Great.
thank you.
We're
Good,
glad
thank
to
you.
have Jeff here, too.
Yes, yes, he sounds like he's got a great resource.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. I'm Karen Delaney. I'm the Executive Director at the Falmouth Service Center. Thank you very much.
Well, you
and
get
to-
the award for probably traveling the
Yeah,
greatest.
yeah.
And being very patient.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And did you say you were the Falmouth Human Services?
Falmouth Service Center.
Service Center.
Yes, but we do partner with the Falmouth Human Services. I just want to say thank you, because this is a massive issue for the Cape. I've been there for 17 years at the Service Center. When I started in 2009, we had a home refrigerator and a home freezer. Now we have multiple freezers, massive warehouse, multiple, for the last 3 years, we've distributed over 1 million pounds of food to over 10,000 people.
Wow.
We have done our area served survey for the Greater Boston Food Bank. 91% of our clients come from Cape Cod, 9% are coming from off Cape. What we are seeing, particularly since COVID, is more and more people are relying on a pantry to meet their food needs every single week in order to live and work on Cape Cod. The families that are off Cape that we're seeing have had to move out. Falmouth used to be about 85% of our clients, now that's down to 64%. And anecdotally, they're saying they're moving to Wareham and off Cape and commuting over the bridges. The food bank just did a statewide survey, and what they found was Barnstable County improved and our hunger went down by 8%. Plymouth County went up by 10%. That is for sure what we are seeing at the Falmouth Service Center is our families are still working on the Upper Cape, but they have moved across the bridge. So we just had a big community partner open house at our location and invited many of the officials from Falmouth to tour and see what they were, to see how much food is actually going out our doors, and how we can continue in emergency situations and helping the sheer number of people, particularly, as many people have said, it's the seniors. We're now doing outreach projects at the Falmouth Housing Authority buildings. We're doing mobile markets at their buildings, so they can just come downstairs and pick up fresh produce. We're in the Falmouth Public Schools every single month doing fresh produce markets. We're out at Joint Base Cape Cod, working with the military families there.
You're going to the base.
We are going to the base twice a month. We're serving about 165 households every market at Joint Base Cape Cod for the military and the civilians that work out on the base. We have 16 total programs, and what we are realizing is we've truly become, about half of those are food programs, the other half are financial assistance, holiday programs, et cetera. We've become a key economic component of keeping people living and working on the Cape. One of the things, we had a senior client reach out to us and thank us last year. They had kept track of their budget. They were a family of 2, they were seniors. They said we had saved them $200 a week by coming to the pantry, overall $10,000. And they had been able to use that $10,000 to pay their other bills. So we do share that with other clients because they say, oh, I want the food to go to somebody else. And we say, if you can come even once a month, you know, that money can go towards another bill. And that's definitely what we're seeing on the Cape, is more and more people are relying on that kind of.
That was great that they tracked that.
It was wonderful.
It was really, if everybody could sort of do that.
It was really helpful because people, when we relay that number to other clients, they say, $10,000.
Right.
That would have paid for like several months of rent.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as others have said, we partner, the collaborations on Cape are absolutely phenomenal. So we partner with many of the people in the room here. The local farms are unbelievable. We have fresh produce almost every day from the local farms, Farming Falmouth, and the Farmers Market in Falmouth, the Fishermen's Alliance. We just bring a lot of fresh local food. 60% of our food does come from the Greater Boston Food Bank, but we're purchasing 40% locally. And I do want to give a shout out to the food bank. They're not here today, but we're one of 600 agencies. Us and the Family Pantry are 2 of their large distribution partners on the Cape. And we serve as what is known as cross docks. Other smaller pantries can pick up from us. And we also distribute over 1 million pounds of food each. So it's an amazing network that the food bank has put together, and then Andrea has helped put together for the Cape Cod. So I just want to thank you all for your support.
Thank you. I do know that you invited us to that open house as well. And, you know, you're in Falmouth, I'm in Wellfleet. And it just, the timing just didn't work for me that day, but I hope to visit. I would love to have a private
so you're
visit.
welcome to come up and
Yeah.
tour at any time.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Karen. We just have a few more people. Katie Whibby from Lower Cape Outreach Council.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for having all of us today. So I don't want to repeat a lot of what you've already heard, so I'm going to jump around a little bit on what I prepared, so forgive me. But I am Katie Whibby. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Lower Cape Outreach Council. Our service area is the Lower and Outer Cape, so Harwich, Chatham, Brewster, all the way up through Provincetown. Within that space, we have 9 emergency food pantries, 2 in Orleans where we are headquartered. We work to support all the basic needs of those residents, but food has certainly been what's driven major changes within the organization recently. So since 2022, we've actually seen a 150% increase in the usage at our pantries. That's average monthly over the last 4 years.
Say that again? How big?
150% increase.
On the Lower Cape.
So our understanding, it's due to several factors. Obviously, economic factors are at play, but what we're really working to do is try to be as accessible as possible for our residents. So as a few folks have mentioned already, transportation is a challenge for Lower and Outer Cape residents. So having those pantries in each of those towns we serve makes it more accessible. And also, all of those pantries will deliver to folks who can't get to us for transportation reasons, transportation, disability, whatever that may be. Oh, geez, here I am jumping around. Okay, so as I said, we have 9 emergency food pantries. We just opened the 9th in 2022, which is another reason for that jump in numbers. So our headquarters is in Orleans, just behind Friends Market. That is the only building we own. All of the other pantries are located in donated spaces, mostly in the faith community, except for Truro, which is in the Truro Council on Aging. Because we're basically centrally located, and our understanding is the majority of our clients have to come to Orleans once a week for one thing or the other, whether it's the grocery store or the doctor or the pharmacy, that location, which is consistently staffed, open 5 days a week, that pantry is now available to all the residents of the Lower and Outer Cape. All of our other pantries service folks who live or work in that town because they're limited by space and capacity. And obviously in the donated spaces, so we want to be respectful of those folks that are their generosity with that. Today, only after those 4 years, the main pantry is our busiest pantry. It serves 20% of the overall visits we do throughout the year, which is what sparked a capital campaign. So we just finished a renovation on that main pantry in December. We tripled its size. It's now taking over 2,000 square feet of our lower level. It was done in a way that we really prioritize bringing folks into a bright, welcoming environment where they can shop for their groceries with dignity in a true market style atmosphere. So folks come in, they grab a cart, they wander around the space, they pick up their vegetables, they're able to smell them and pick what they want, and then obviously bring those out to their car. That location had typically been a storage facility for the other 8 pantries. So we'd bring in the food from Greater Boston, like so many more of our partners. We'd house it there, and it could go out as necessary. Now that we've lost that storage, we are having a space challenge. And that brings me to you guys. We have located a building. It is under contract. We are under contract to purchase a 13,000 square foot warehouse in the town of Orleans. We are due to close next year. We see this warehouse as an opportunity not only to support our 9 pantries, but also to support the overall food system on the Lower and Outer and further Cape. We are very much working with Andrea, who has brought and convened these folks together, listening to Leo talk about the regionality of it. We are fully aware we are not solving food insecurity on our own, and we need to work with our partners, but everybody needs more infrastructure. So this facility, we hope we work with our partners, we'll be able to outfit it in a way that can better support with cold and dry storage first and foremost, but also just having a loading dock so we can get those large pallet deliveries, so we can do more food rescue, so we can process more of that food rescue. So folks who have that extra resource know that they can come to a location and we can take it and we can get it back out into the community. So as we're looking forward to fundraise, not just to purchase that, but to outfit it, we're going to be working with our partners to say, how can we work with you? How can we support the overall system? So we will be working on those plans throughout 2027. I do ask for your support in that effort. It is in a coordination with the Cooperative Extension, who has signed on in support of this, the Greater Boston Food Bank. Shireen has signed a letter of support for us as well. And we really want to bring our 25+ partners together to really make that regional impact. So I guess I'll leave it there.
Okay.
Exciting.
So we're
Great,
excited.
good job.
But thank you again for the
Go
time
get that letter.
and highlighting this issue.
All right, we'll do that.
And Shireen.
Okay, Shireen.
Thank you so much for today.
Good morning, well, afternoon now, you guys.
Yeah.
I don't miss these meetings.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
At all. First off, I want to thank you for convening this. It's a great topic. I think Andrea's done a great job. The county has done a great job in working towards coordination. Not only of the food pantries, but there are community services out there that are got their eye on the prize. Fishing partnerships in the room here, Julia and Sarah. Not only do they, a group like that, they've got their eye on a lot of the community members, but the fisheries itself and what fishermen are going through in the way of food, housing, and economic security and security. So I'll get to why I'm saying that in a few minutes. But I just want to say, I just totally, with Leo, right?
Yes.
Totally, what he said in the beginning is what you need to know.
Right.
It's really that.
Yeah,
it's,
he gave a good
He
summary.
was the one that really framed it
Yeah.
up, which was really great. But I think some of the things that the background that I'm coming from is from the Chatham Harvesters as a seafood provider, a food producer on the Cape. We started in COVID, we started creating co-op maybe about 10 years ago, but during COVID, same story as the Alliance. We were realizing that fishermen had food to be able to give to feed people. People were, it's a suspect of their food supply chains, and so we did a lot of retail off the boat. But we're a business, we're not a nonprofit, so we don't have grant funding or donation funding that comes our way. We actually serve as a business, and as a cooperative, we do have core community values that we live by, so that it sort of like combines the two, you know, a hardcore business and then a sort of a nonprofit. But so we navigate through that. And some of the work that we did through the county was we did work with them on a federal program to provide freshly frozen local seafood to the food pantries. I was blown away the first time I talked to Andrea about how many food pantries there are on Cape. And there's only over 40, right?
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind. And coming from a municipal standpoint, as a former select board member, the need that we see within our communities, we hear about it often and we see it, but we also live in a world that has a disproportionate wealth, you know, which is really a problem here. And people don't see it as much. And for groups to be relying on donations and services like that, it's really, you know, there's a lot of nonprofits on the Cape, and there's a lot of people giving a lot of money. There's a lot of good people around.
There are.
And that's really great. So we did the federal program through the USDA that Andrea had put together, and we were able to provide freshly frozen fillets and whole fish. We were really, you know, to a lot of the pantries for either their disbursement through Lower Cape Outreach, which was a great community partner. We call them up and say, hey, we got like 90 packages of you know, whole mackerel. Can you get rid of it? And they're like, yes, of course we can. Because they know what people want and eat. And we also know that we want to provide to them the most fresh, local, healthiest food we can. And through the system that we often live with in the pantry system is that protein is kind of a challenge. And I know that as I've gone through the last few years trying to navigate the food system and the state system around food, it's very challenging. There are a lot of programs that are funded. I served on the governor's anti-hunger task force for the last year. Jenny's on that, and I'm sure there's a few other people that have been on that to make recommendations to the governor about, you know, where emergency food should be going. One of the things I did recognize is MDR does all the bigger work around procurement, funding requests. One of the things I do recognize also is through that system, seafood, even though MDR, you think of Massachusetts Department of Agriculture, they also oversee the seafood side of the system, like for Sea to School, food pantries and all that. And we, as seafood providers, aren't getting a fair shake in the system. We are looking at, for example, there is a set aside in the budget for MDR that allows, I think it's somewhere around $80 million towards farmers for local foods to food pantries, mostly going to the Greater Boston Food Bank through the MEFAP program. There is nothing set aside for seafood or foraged food or, you know, game, anything like that. So part of the work that I've been doing with being on the task force, which was overseen by Commissioner Randall, my portion of it, able to sort of look at the bigger picture, but also work with the Division of Marine Fisheries and say, if the farmers have this kind of money set aside, why aren't the fishermen having the same thing? And that this is all local food that's going to be brought in to the pantries, because that's what we should be doing. My rationale around that is based on some of the analysis that I've heard from people like Fishing Partnership who say fishermen become food insecure, or you say insecure, we talk in terms of food security in general, but they do become food insecure. Certain times of the year, I mean, housing is dictating why people aren't getting fed. They're not eating. Their cost of living on the Cape is, you know, it's too expensive. So what goes first? You know, probably your grocery bill. You want to feed your kids, but, you know. So we're often finding, or they're often finding, and I did provide this information to the state, that, you know, there is a service need for fishermen that at certain times of year are going to food pantries. So if we were providing more local procurement money towards the local food, I think you're solving your own problem in some ways. That's part of a rationale. There is a bigger picture here across a lot of different levels. There are, you know, there's the pharmacy stuff, the food is medicine sort of stuff. There's a lot of work that's being done in that way. The stuff that's being done at the state is small inroads, and I'm really, you know, there's a lot more that I could say about it, but what I'm really here to tell you is the lessons we learned from COVID. And I sat on the governor's task force with Jillian Sear, had organized for the county, and I can tell you the county did a terrific job in advocating for the needs of the Cape. And that's a perfect model to look at what you are capable of doing today. One of the things working on the steering committee of the Hunger Network, making recommendations on, you know, how to, you know, create a more cohesive network of not only just food pantries, but food producers to sort of get in the room to talk to each other. We talked about the idea of what would a food forum look like for the Cape. I mean, this is something perfectly aligned to what you were thinking about doing, because we have so many different systems, as Leo had said, that need to be at the table together. I have this great photo I gave of to my daughter from the islands. I saw this boat, and on it was, the name of the boat was Feed Yourself. And I think we're fully capable of trying to do as much as we can from that perspective. And I'm just hoping that you will move forward with something that is local and cohesive and inclusive and brings everybody to the table to talk about some of these. And I just, again, I want to applaud the people in this room. They carry the weight of the community, the full Cape community, on their shoulders. And I'm in awe of this. And every time we've been on a Hunger Network meeting, I just can't believe how much dedication there is on the Cape to helping people. So I want to thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions, follow up, or anything.
Thank you for everything you do. Shireen?
And I think we're pretty much done. We have Jenny and Fernando. Did you want to say anything? Okay, good. Yeah, Jenny. I knew you wanted to. We'll close out with, save the best for last.
But we also have the veterans part of this as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you want to say a couple?
We want them, yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you, Andrea, for helping convene this. I'm not going to tell you a lot about Family Table Collaborative because I think you've gotten a little snapshot recently of what we do, but also what we're capable of doing in an emergency. And we sit at kind of an interesting combination nexus of, you know, dealing. I like to focus on nutritional security, not just food security, and also, but emergency response and what can happen when things go very right, you know, when you can pull that together. We're excited to be a part of that resource moving forward, and I'm excited to be a part of the emergency food, working group that we have now through, that Andrea has convened with all of us. I think, you know, collaboration is key. Katie mentioned, you know, there's a couple of key words that I feel like, you know, I'm just gonna, infrastructure. Okay, let's go with infrastructure. But for me, what I really want to bring to your attention is something that, with us, we really work in a significant gap in the food system. We are not a food pantry, and you know, we work outside the lines sometimes of what they are allowed physically to do by state and federal guidelines. Because we are not confined by that. We work a little differently, but it also is that we we're kind of filling in holes and doing things a little differently that I'm hoping, again, with collaboration and additional infrastructure, can bring us all together in a more cohesive way. There's a lot about food, the food system, that truly is not understood and almost never comes up, even in these conversations. And that is what I would just like to take a couple minutes on. So in general, the United States makes up approximately 5% of the world's population. We generate over 25% of the world's food waste. Over 25%. Food waste is the third highest contributor to greenhouse gases. So, you know, here's the thing. At the same time that that's happening, we're paying farmers to plow under almost 40% of all crops grown in this country. So, and at the same time, we have hunger and food insecurity on the rise. Kids, we have a problem. Like, it isn't that we don't produce enough food, we're one of the largest food producers in the world. It's that we're really bad at actually addressing that this is surplus. So while the government is busy pumping out government cheese and lower grade prepared food, like highly processed prepared food, and they are sending a lot of that to the pantries to give to people that are more likely in need of health issues, like of real health issues.
Healthier food.
Healthier food. Congressman Jim McGovern said that health doesn't say, this is a little bit of a play, but Congress, I'm going to give him credit. Leo used it a little bit, but Congressman McGovern says that health doesn't start in a hospital, it starts in a kitchen. And as soon as he said, I heard him say that, I was like, I'm stealing that. Like, totally,
it's actually good.
because this is what I talk about all the time. And so the thing is that it's about quality, not just quantity. And that's a lot of what Leo was talking about as, you know, you can actually see mass obesity and have complete nutritional deficits. And this needs to stop, and it can stop. So there are things like we build waste into the food system at every level. And so for people that don't understand, I just gave the example yesterday in a meeting with a lot of people in this room. We were in the process of rescuing 17,000 pounds of red lentil pasta. It's gluten-free, it's high in protein, it's great. But guess what? It comes in 800-pound totes. So nobody can take it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're picking up 17,000 pounds of pasta, and yesterday, 800 pounds of the first 800 pounds that arrived were immediately repacked into 1 to 2 pound containers, relabeled by my team, and now we can distribute it through the local network, to the pantries, to anybody that wants it. We also just picked up 450 dozen eggs from Walden Farm that aren't even Best Buy, in the whole Best Buy expiration date. Like, it's a marketing facade created in the United States just to make you buy more stuff and waste more stuff. So the thing is, we now posted a lot of those also on the new app so that people have access to it. But the quantity often is what makes people not be able to take it, what makes a pantry not be able to take it, because they don't have a kitchen that can then process it into a usable quantity for people. So you have an enormous amount of waste baked in, but it's really surplus. It's surplus that we're just not using appropriately. Grocery stores have ordering minimums. So Whole Foods Market is our largest community partner. We're partnered with all the farms, Fisherman's Alliance, fishing and shellfishing industry at large. Shireen, this year we partnered with that. It was amazing. However, we take in almost 2 tons of fresh produce from Whole Foods every week, one store. One store. Whole Foods Market donates to pantries 7 days a week. Once again, we're not a pantry. Whole Foods Market donates to us at least 7 days a week. We're taking all of the stuff the pantries can't. That should be an enormous indicator on what is not going right here, because it's real food, whole food, good food. And just like somebody else said, I think it was the woman from the church, I loved what she said. Whole food, real food, good food can do more than just feed. It nourishes, it heals, it hugs, and that is what we are aimed to do with real food. So I want to get away from processed food, highly processed, low in nutrition. I want to do more. We're rescuing food now all over Massachusetts. We're trying to bring it back here, but we are looking at building out a production plant to make sure that we can process the food, not only that's grown here, that all of, I mean, the farms, I agree, farms are amazing, that we take in all those donations, but refrigeration, freezer space, and the appropriate infrastructure to process this food to make sure that we are shoring up the entire food system, hyper-localized food systems. And to Katie's point about, public transit, all of you know the RTA was our, unsung hero for the blizzard response. But there are struggles, right, with public transit on Cape Cod. And so making sure that we're putting in those local community refrigerators that we call Nourish Hubs. We just contracted, the county got 8 fridges that are going in. We just got another grant for 4 more. I just wrote a grant for 20 more across Cape Cod. Because getting those into exactly what Katie was talking about, people not being able to get to us, not being able to, whether it's time frame, whether it's, walking or not having travel, access to local food and hyper-local systems while dealing with a regional capacity, all critically important. But I'm gonna go back to the word I started with, and that's infrastructure. I'm guessing you're gonna hear a lot more about that from all of us coming up. But thank you so much for having me. We're thrilled to be able to participate in the food system. We love being able to be in all 15 towns, and I think it gives us a slightly different perspective sometimes.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Jenny.
Thank you.
And one last,
Yep.
last one, Michael.
Hi.
I'm going to keep this short.
You don't have
Yeah, you, go ahead, go for it.
You don't have to.
We've gone this
Cape
long.
Islands Veterans Outreach Center. First, I want to recognize Andrea and Michael and all, let me tell you, I heard people talking about the county and, what their gripes were, but I have none. She's incredible. Michael's program is incredible. They do grants, collaborations, training, farming, fishing. She's always calling, always out there, and I just want to thank you guys and them for all that they do for us.
Okay, well, thank you.
So we have the largest demographic of veterans in the state on Cape Cod. We give out between $85 and $200 worth of food. In 2022, we serviced 1,700 families. In 2025, we serviced 13,200 families. We over 27,000 family members and gave out over 35,000 bags of food to veterans. We have 4 mobile programs, a home delivery program, and our main operations is in Hyannis. The reality is that the average veteran is getting older. A lot of them have to choose between their housing and their homes. We also do transportation. We have the Wall That Heals coming in September, outreach, mental health services. Again, I think my biggest reason for standing up here today was to recognize Andrea, to recognize the program and all of the good that they do. Our veterans are always in need, and we do everything we can to service them and to help them. I thank you for your time.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
I think that.
And Jenny is incredible.
Yeah,
That's
boy,
good.
Jenny.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Really?
I think we got through everyone, but I do have a letter for you from Katja DeCuna. She is the executive director from Latinx in Action, serving the immigrant community. She wasn't able to be here, but she wrote a nice letter, and I wanted to share it all with you, if
By
you
all
don't
means.
mind.
Yeah.
Please do.
I'll leave that with
And
you.
if there's something you want to just read into the record, maybe,
You want me to read it?
how long is it?
It's a page and,
Yeah, go ahead, read it into the record, so
Okay.
that everybody can hear it.
no pressure. Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Katja Regina DeCuna, founder and executive director of Latinx in Action, an immigrant-led nonprofit serving individuals and families throughout Cape Cod. Although I am unable to attend today's meeting because I am out of Cape Cod, I am grateful to Andrea for the opportunity to share these remarks on behalf of our organization. First, I would like to thank Barnstable County Commissioners for your commitment to addressing food insecurity and for recognizing the importance of listening to the organizations working directly with our community every day. At Latinx in Action, we see that food insecurity is about much more than access to food. It is deeply connected to economic hardship, the rising cost of housing, transportation challenges, language barriers, and the uncertainty that many immigrant families are experiencing today. For many families, asking for help is not easy. Fear, isolation, and lack of information often prevent people from seeking the assistance they need, even when they are struggling to put food on the table. Our organization has seen a growing need for food assistance, particularly among families who are hardworking, but whose incomes are no longer kept pace with the rising cost of living. We have also seen an increasing number of families who are afraid to visit food pantries or other public locations. Because of this, trusted community relationships have become more important than ever. We often serve as a bridge connecting families with available resources, coordinating support with community partners, and helping ensure that food reaches those who are too afraid to seek it themselves. I did not pay her to say this, but she said, I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to Andrea Scarpolini, Food Access Coordinator with Cape Cod Cooperative Extension, and to Barnstable County for your outstanding leadership and commitment to improving food access across Cape Cod. Your work has been a true blessing to our community by identifying gaps in the food system and intentionally creating more equitable opportunities. You have helped ensure that smaller community-based organizations like Latinx in Action have a seat at the table and access to resources and partnerships that might otherwise have been out of reach. We are especially grateful for our partnership with Cape Cod Veterans, whose Michael's organization, whose generosity in sharing food and other essential goods has allowed us to reach immigrant families experiencing food insecurity. Their support is a wonderful example of neighbors helping neighbors and demonstrates the power of collaboration and strengthening our community. Thank you for recognizing the value of grassroots organizations and for investing in solutions that improve communication, expand access to resources, and strengthen partnerships across our region. Your dedication helps build a more connected and equitable Cape Cod, and we are honored to be one of your partners. As we move forward together, we encourage continued investment in trusted community organizations that serve as bridges between vulnerable families and available resources. When people feel safe, respected, and welcomed, they are far more likely to seek the help that they need. Thank you for your leadership, your participation, and your continued commitment to building a Cape Cod where every person has access to healthy food, dignity, and hope. Respectfully, yours, Katja Regina Dacuna, founder and executive director of Latinx in Action. What a way to round off this
Thank you,
session.
very good.
Very
Thank you,
nice.
Katja.
That was well done. I'd like to open it up for our commissioners to sort of ask questions of our guests, people that have come here today to talk about this problem. Commissioner Bergstrom.
Yeah, there's so much we covered, and, a long time ago, I read a quote, I think it was by Henry David Thoreau, and he said that most men lead lives of quiet desperation, and it's so true that, in our daily lives, we meet a lot of people, we know a lot of people, we travel around this peninsula, and it seems nice, and we have beaches and everything, but it can be lost that people have a lot of pride, and they don't present themselves as being needy, but people like you who do the outreach realize that there is a lot of need here on the Cape, and it has to be met. And, I'm happy to talk about something that the county does. It doesn't have anything to do with bricks and mortar and housing, so it's really appreciated. But I'd like to bring up one quick point. I think it was Renee, was it?
Yes,
here
Renee.
Brought up is that obviously the federal government's decided to revoke the protected status of some immigrants, the Haitian community. And as a result, although it hasn't happened yet, it's possible that a breadwinner from a family could leave in the morning and not come back, and so that family would be left with resources and stuff. So both through you guys and through our Human Rights Commission, we have to be prepared if that happens. Hopefully it won't happen, but it is. But I'm glad we have the resources that you guys provide to deal with it if it happens. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lyons?
No, I just want to applaud everyone in this room for all of your work. It's all volunteer on the most part. It is huge, hopefully very rewarding. That's one of the benefits you get, but it really is so necessary. And it's so sad that in this day and age, in this country, that we're talking about this, especially when we know that there's a lot of money in this country and it's not going to the right people. I support all of these different efforts. I think that the county can advocate, we can lobby, we can push all of these ideas and make sure it happens. I think we should probably help you all convene so you come out with a paper of one voice so we can have more of an impact. And I support that. I know that in our town, my town of Wellfleet, we just gave them land. They're going to be opening up their expanded food shelter. And we are we're one of the smallest communities, and the need is there. And it's not just people like, oh, I can get it free, I'm going to go over there and get it. It's not that. It's people who really do need a supplement. And so I thank you all. I totally get this. I support it. And I think that whatever we can do. The other thing, going back to the fishermen, it came up in another meeting that I attended somewhere, that, there's bills when you go to a farmer's market, even if you're just buying, you're not buying it on a wholesale, it's expensive. And it's expensive because individuals are doing their own work in their own little farm to grow these products to bring to market. And they don't get the subsidies. Their little 2 acres, 3 acres, they do not get the subsidies that anything over 5 acres can even apply for. So I think that's somewhere that we have to push, and that should be including with the fishermen. I mean, it looks like it's the same type of need. You have a product that generates money, but you need the help to get that product to the table. So there's a lot of different other gaps that we're not seeing in this conversation that we need to support through legislation and funding. So more to come. I'm looking forward to hearing more success stories and less challenges. So
Thank you, Commissioner. Well said. What I'm hoping that we can do is very soon come to some kind of consensus and a better understanding of how we can strengthen this food network. I'm hearing all of the partners talking about things that they need. We're talking about infrastructure. That's an overused word, but if there's a place on Cape Cod that I think deserves priority spending for infrastructure, it would certainly be in addressing this crisis. So sometimes it can be challenging coming together as a region and all agreeing on sort of a game plan, an action plan. But in my past life, working for 2 congressmen, one of the things that I liked doing is helping bring people together and seeing if we could at least agree on collectively what we need to do. What's our plan of action going forward? So
with that, Mr. Chair.
Well, I know Commissioner Bergstrom has a motion.
Oh, okay.
But before he goes, I just want to say that I think you're all doing incredible work. And it's amazing to see. I'm looking at this room, and I'm looking at, we talk about movers and shakers. They're usually people we think of at the State House or down in the Capitol. But you folks are the real movers and shakers. You are the ones.
Yep.
You are the ones that are making things happen.
Yeah.
And I can think of 2 congressmen that I worked with very, very closely over the years who would be thrilled and be incredibly proud to hear what we've witnessed today. You're doing incredible work, and I'm very excited about being a county commissioner and being an advocate for you and to support the work that you're doing and finding ways that we can come together to sort of agree on a plan of action so that we can be out there leading the charge, helping you get the resources that you need. And so with that, Mr. Bergstrom, do you have a motion for us?
Yes, I do. First, I'd like to say that, I've been in the public office for almost 30 years. And during that time, most of the solid accomplishments that have been made by nonprofit groups and volunteers, as opposed to the us officials. I mean, we do our part, but it's you guys really take the ball and run with it. So anyway, with that, I move to authorize the county administrator and staff to organize a hunger summit this fall, a forum that will bring together stakeholders from all across Cape Cod to develop a plan of action with recommendations on how local and county government, health and human service providers, food pantries, and food producers can all work together to address the growing hunger crisis on Cape Cod.
Second.
Okay, do I have a motion, and do I have any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries unanimously.
I look forward to it getting
Once
there.
again, thank you all
Yes.
for being here. You're welcome to stay. It gets really boring after this, so you're welcome to leave. But once again, we're so blessed to have you doing the work that you do.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Andrea. Good job.
And by the way, thank you for all the kind words about Andrea.
Yes, that's, I know.
Right?
Yeah, when she,
I know you didn't cue her up for, or she didn't cue you up for this, but it's always nice to
pushing her for a
hear
raise, yeah.
about the great work that she does. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Okay.
Are you on, are we gonna talk to Michael today, or are we gonna let the?
Yeah, we're gonna talk to our
We gotta make
administrator
this
today. I'm
fast.
gonna just let folks
Get out of the room.
sort of move on. I think we can bring up the local aid report at a future meeting. Yeah.
That's fine.
Jeff, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. I mean, if you can do food insecurity in Rwanda, Cape Cod,
You can do
Cape
it there,
Cod
you
is
can do
a,
it here.
is a, it's a cake. All right. So we're gonna drop that.
I'm gonna give her your.
And I know Carol's moved on, so.
I'll give you my card.
Please do. I will. Yeah. I mean, I have things of my own from.
Where are we?
We're on the agenda, we did the food we've done the general business items. I'm gonna move on to new business.
Okay.
So are there any new business items we need to discuss? Hearing none, let's move on to the next one. The Commissioner's consent agenda. So, Commissioner Bergstrom?
Mr. Chairman, before I move to approve the Commissioner's assent agenda, I would like to point out that Barnstable County does a lot of different things. And we have an award here for Children's Cove, which is a secure facility to interview children who may have been subject of sexual abuse. We have $500,000 for youth and young adult homelessness. We have a grant to the Cape Cod Commission for regional coordinated climate resilience. And of course, you heard a lot what we're doing with homelessness. So I just have to point out, because sometimes in all the noise, we lose sight of all the different things that Barnstable County does. So anyway, with that, I move to approve the Commissioner's consent agenda items A through F.
So 8 through Roman numeral.
Roman numeral
1 through 8.
1, yeah.
Roman numerals 5.
Including
all
all
subsections as
Yes.
listed on the July 30th, 2026
Yeah.
meeting agenda. That's your motion,
I'll
correct?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on the consent agenda?
No, it's a long one.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries unanimously. The next item, item 9, the approval of meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the July 8th, 2026 regular meeting minutes as drafted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It carries unanimously. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Bergstrom, any reports?
Yeah, you know, a couple days ago, I was at a ribbon cutting for a Forward project which supplies housing for adult people with autism and other disabilities, and it was partially funded by a grant from the county through using ARPA funds. And it's good to see, after all we went through with that finally the benefit of those funds that we provided coming to fruition, you know, and of course, mostly due to the hard work of the people who were involved. But, you know, it was a good project, something needed, and talking to some of the people involved say that they could probably fill another 10 of those if the funds were available. So that was good to go to. I think also administrator was there, and Christie was also there.
That's great. That's great.
And I was recently at the State of the Ponds, so to speak. It was the Friends of the Ponds that put on a presentation. Andy Gottlieb was the guest speaker from Association to Preserve Cape Cod. And our ponds are very special across the Cape. We have over 800 ponds. Not all of them are used recreationally. Some of them nobody wants to tell about because that's their secret pond, and that's smart. And and we have very still somewhat healthy ponds on the Outer Cape, and we want to keep it that way. So there is really a concerted effort across the Cape. I think that it's another thing we should visit sometime in the fall. What's happening with our ponds and the health of our ponds, and how can we help protect them. So it was really an amazing attendance and conversation, and I look forward to more of those. And I'll be attending, I'll be going with the National Seashore. Next month, they're having their annual Friends of the Seashore, and our seashore, like everything else, is having it's a federal program, but it needs help because it's also being abandoned by our country, and we are Cape Cod because of the seashore. It's been recognized as a special place, so we need to support our national parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. The only report that I have, and I guess it sort of folds into a future agenda item, and that is questions about some of the legislative activity that's being promoted that intrudes on home rule. There's really growing concern about that. There's going to be a meeting of the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association in August. I think it would be nice to get a sense if they're going to be talking about this and putting this on as a forum. I'm no longer the president of the association, but I think there has been some letter writing that has gone on. The environmental bond bill that came out of the Senate had language in it that penalizes communities that are engaged in protecting, water resources.
It's ridiculous.
And
counterintuitive.
And we talk about people getting, because this is part of what's going on, is people are seeing developments in Washington and developments up at the State House in which actions are being taken that in some cases come across as a threat, all right, to our ability to manage growth in our communities. And so I do think that this is important for us to just, we've talked about this before, and I know Commissioner Lyons, you've talked about the importance of us, listening and being prepared to hear this conversation, and obviously we've heard it quite strongly here in this town. But I'm hopeful that the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association will more or less take this up, and I'd like to see the select boards more or less take the lead on this discussion. And obviously, I think we'd be happy to participate, but we have a board meeting coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's the message that I'd like to convey to them, is that, we're hearing this obviously here in Harwich. I think we're going to hear this in other communities, increasingly so. And again, I think some of the legislative proposals to sort of weaken home rule and to facilitate perhaps a scale of development that's sort of out of scale or inconsistent with what we're used to allowing and promoting on Cape Cod is just something that needs to really involve a larger discussion. I think as a board, we certainly should be at the table, but my message to the association is for them to take this up as an agenda and try to find a way to sort of facilitate a dialogue on it. Go ahead.
I totally agree, and that move on the environmental bill, it's comes across sort of as Orwellian. Like, we really do have an environmental bond bill that's going to help the environment, but if you use it, you're going to be punished. And so it looks good, but it does nothing. Yeah. And I was speaking with a former state senator, who I will leave nameless, since they didn't give me permission to tell this story, but they also was questioning what the heck is going on up there at the State House. It seems like home rule are we a home rule state or not? And That is it's also being promoted by our own this is part of the delegation. Everybody's in this fever and not looking at really what they're doing and what it is we're talking about here. So I will be at that meeting, and I hope it's brought up, and if not, we can all bring it up, Mark.
Well, the one, let me just to close this off, Ron. One way for us to weigh in is the Mass Municipal Association actually drafted a letter to the conferees on these issues, and I'm happy to at least draft for consideration at our next meeting a similar letter from us
I would very
to
much
legislators expressing this kind of concern, this loss of home rule, particularly as it relates to housing development, or as some might say, overdevelopment.
So with that, I'd like to just formalize that and make a motion that we give the authority to the chair, working with administration, to draft a letter with the expressed concern and comments about what is happening in the home rule world, or however you want to put that.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion second, any discussion? Was there anything else that you wanted to?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I've become aware as time went on to the efforts by the state to mandate various changes in the zoning laws. And you have to understand that everything that they are mandating could be done right now if the local communities wanted to do and change zoning. So they're not helping us, they're just telling us basically, you have to do things that once were optional. And you're right, it's encroaching on home rule.
No,
Right.
it's extortion.
No.
To a degree.
And I think, quite frankly, it's fitting that we're having this discussion in the Don B. Griffin room, because if there was anyone who advocated for Cape Cod to basically lead and chart its own destiny, it was certainly Don. And the other thing that people should be aware is that Don Griffin was, as a select board member in Harwich, he actually called on the county to do a report outlining how much tax money we send to Boston and how little of it we get back. So this report that we prepared, that we hope to discuss today, I think is very much in keeping with the spirit of Don Griffin, and I'd like to do that on an annual basis, and I don't see any objection to that. But on the motion that's on the floor in terms of writing the letter, any more discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It carries unanimously.
Thank
All
you.
right, so, Michael, do you want to go over our upcoming business, our future agenda for
Absolutely.
meetings?
Your next meeting is right now scheduled to be a virtual meeting on August 12th. And at that meeting, so far, we intend to hear an update from the Cape Cod Commission on the Cape License Plate Fund, and hopefully a grant opening announcement from Christy Senatori, the director of the Cape Cod Commission. Also hear an update on the the 25-26 AmeriCorps cohort from Cooperative Extension and Misty. We will dispense with an agreement, ongoing agreement with the sheriff's pension liabilities, and also the auditor's contract. So that's what you have in front of you so far. And as a reminder that right now that will be a virtual meeting. Looking ahead, because summer's almost over, Wednesday, August 26th.
It's unbelievable. Well, it happens
sorry.
every year.
Sorry.
It goes by so fast.
The Truro meeting, you'll have a meeting in Truro on Wednesday, August 26th. And we hope to have a discussion on water supply and the abilities that our county lab has to test for water.
Yeah, we may also see, I mean, there's been some reporting on wildfire management. I don't see how we can go to Truro without talking about that subject. Is that a safe statement?
Say that again.
Wildfire management?
Oh, absolutely. That is huge, yes.
You agree, Ron?
Yeah, oh, yes, no question.
Yes, and we have to make sure that Mr. Marksbury is invited.
Okay.
John Marksbury.
Just an upcoming business. You remember a few meetings ago, probably more than a few, I mentioned that the governor had a policy, had put in a program to supply a $25,000 down payment for certain individuals who are looking to buy a home. Now, since I'm not in the, not in the habit of bulling ahead on things without researching them first, okay? I asked the Human Service Department to look into it, and he said at the time, he said that the data from the state program would not be available to the end, until the end of this month. But it's, and also I found out, so there's some obstacles, so it's not something we can go ahead with the county without looking into it. But I'd like to at least get a report back from him, see what he found out and what he thinks about it.
Okay. That looks good. Any other agenda items we should take up? Any other staff reports, Michael?
Nope, no staff reports, but I can flow right into my update if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Very quick, not so quick for the folks in the room, but I will turn it over to Jay and Randy and Cassidy, our new epidemiologist, have been waiting patiently.
I know.
Learned
It's been a
more
long
about-
meeting.
More about
Hopefully it
county
was
government than I ever wanted to. But I would turn it over to Jay to introduce Cassidy, who's hit the ground running. And she, as I say, is our new epidemiologist. And turn
Nice
over
to meet
Jay.
you.
Thank you, Michael. Madam Chairman, Mr. Chairman, and Commissioners.
Really?
I apologize.
Cassidy, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. You know, I listened to the vast majority of your meeting, and what you are discussing are the social determinants of health. The vast majority, 75% of our health is determined by what? Housing, food, transportation, education, economics. That falls in the health department. It's important that we're able to measure that. We need to be able to manage that. In order to do that, we need to see trends. So in public health, we're not reacting, but we're responding. We're responding in a way that is strategic, thoughtful, collaborative, things of that nature. Well, what that takes is we have to be able to look at trends and data. If you know, as you understand in the past, we had an epidemiologist, an outside contractor. Well, that created some problems because there are parameters for a contractor. There's only so much to get, they're not inside our organization. With this budget, Michael has determined we're going to put an epidemiologist inside the organization to be one of our staff members, to reach not just within public health, but across into the extension, all the other departments.
Exactly right.
And cohesively look at data so that we can then plan and look at resources, where the gaps are, where there are areas of improvement, and look to say, what are the programs that we have now, and what is it that we don't have and we need to be looking at across the board. So we're thrilled. Leah Hamner was a wonderful the epidemiologist for us. She's now over on the islands doing work with Alpha-Gal. Now we have one of her colleagues, Cassidy O'Hara, and I want to turn it over to her so she can introduce herself and say where she has been in her career path has brought her to the county. We're thrilled to have her here. She's in about her first month of work, and I have to tell you, she's hit the ground running, working with Sonia on the data reporting. We have wonderful things ahead. Michael is leading to say, he sees a vision and a direction for public health, and we certainly, with Cassidy's help, Randy and myself, we're looking to bring some things forward to you, not just in the well testing and other things, but trends that you're going to say, this is where we are now, and this is where we can be.
Thank you for that
Okay.
introduction. I appreciate it. Hello,
Hi.
my name's Cassidy O'Hara, and I'm now the epidemiologist for the County of Barnstable. Prior to this, I did serve for 3 years in Taunton as their epidemiologist. I have worked closely with Leah. We met about, every week for that 3 years as kind of like a regional epidemiology collab. So I've kind of been able to see a little bit of what's going on the Cape as well. I'm also a Cape native, so I grew up here. So it's been, I grew up in Mashpee, Falmouth until 7th grade and then switched over. So
great.
a graduate from here, very prideful and to be returning to home and being able to serve the community that helped raise me. So I'm very excited to that. As Jay said, I do a lot of data analysis, data to action projects, really try to, what I like to call data storytelling. I know you said this meeting was long. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, it was. Oh, good.
It's very inspiring to see when, you know, communities want to look at social determinants of health and really figure out how can we, you know, get boots on the ground, how can we address these problems. A lot of what I do is kind of that justification piece in terms of data, really making it a story, really making it actionable, not that, you know, an epidemiologist would need to know, but the average public person would be able to understand. And with that data, you really have power. You can leverage it into making decisions, into making programs, into making change. So that's kind of my role here, and I am very excited because there's a lot of health that we can deliver, but it's also very flexible and moldable, and it's going to be interesting to see where the community wants to take this and what data supports you guys could use. As Jay said, I'm already working on the website, things with that, vaccine data reports going out next week in the blog, the newsletter. I'm not sure what the official title of it is.
I guess it's a newsletter.
It's okay.
Been working with the nursing department. I'm getting some of their data reports out to really look into how successful our programmings have been and things like that. So I'm really excited to be here, and I really appreciate your time.
Excellent, excellent. And you're young and full of energy and passion, so that's all added benefit, and welcome aboard. Thank you.
Just,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, the federal government has taken a couple steps back from their commitment to public health. I kind of wish they would take even more steps back and turn it over to people who actually know what they're doing, you know. So, you know, we, in so many instances, the local governments, like, including the county, have to step in when resources are denied from other sources. So I appreciate your being here, and you've got a task ahead of you, but, you know, you're joining a good group here.
Yes, yes, you are. You're in good hands. Thank you so much.
So I too join in welcoming you. I've worked with the county health department going back a long time. My first health director that I worked with was a woman named Howes. I think it was Esther Howes.
Oh, yeah.
And she was around ages ago, and she led, I think, back when she was here, that's when the county health department really put itself on the map. And I've worked with Stetson Hall, George Hoyfelder, and obviously Sean O'Brien was there for a while. And this department has been very well led, and now Jay has taken the helm. And our county health department has had high marks for a long, long time. And over the years, it's worked very well with the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. And in one area of collaboration has been in epidemiology. Now, being from Mashpee, in that area, when I worked for Congressman Studs, one of the things that the county did very well in working collaboratively with Mass DPH is making sure that we had regular grasp of cancer statistics, the cancer registry, making sure that we could provide information to the community, whether it was us or through Boston University's health researchers or other contractors or vendors or through Mass DPH itself. And Suzanne Condon, when she was there at Mass DPH, she was heavily involved in this. She was an incredible resource. But collaboratively, we worked together to make sure that here in the Cape we had a better grasp of cancer and cancer statistics and cancer rates. And what was great is the state of Massachusetts put resources into helping us keep up to date on statistics, making sure that we maintain that information and then put that information out. And I think one of the things that we've lost is as Mass DPH has shrunk and as they've been without resources, there's been a lot of valuable health-related information, statistics that we just haven't been able to track or follow. So, you know, Jay's predecessor, I used to beat him up all the time, Sean O'Brien, saying, you know, when can we get back to getting more in the data collection, data release business, and give people some sense of how healthy an environment it is. You may have heard of this term blue zones, right? There are places around the world that are basically considered to be ultra-healthy. And people keep statistics and information on metrics on how healthy the area is. And what's happening is these blue zones become areas that attract investment, they attract people, and they become seen and viewed as desirable places to live. And I think one of the things that I've been hopeful for is that somehow we can work collaboratively, once again, with the state and others to see if we can have a better handle on the metrics in terms of how we're doing health-wise on Cape Cod. So I just mentioned cancer as one statistic, but there are a whole host of metrics. But I think it would be helpful for us in the future to be thinking of a time where we could put on our website, put on a webpage, put out there in public information metrics that help us better understand how healthy we are as a people, and to the extent that there are healthcare risks that our people are being exposed to. As you know, the Joint Base Cape Cod at one time was engaged in a lot of activity that one could be considered hazardous to your
Right,
health.
she lives at Mashpee, so,
Yeah.
And,
Don't drink the water.
a lot of that activity has been stopped, and now we're dealing with the legacy of it. But for the longest time, I could say for about a period of 20, 30 years, people were closely reading and following health statistics and information on the Upper Cape, and in some cases trying to draw their own conclusions in terms of how dangerous activity could be related to health statistics. And there is an interest there, but it's sort of like an information desert today. And obviously we have to be careful about how we put more information out there, but there is a hunger on Cape Cod among people in better understanding the quality of the water, which is the reason why we've made investments in new lab equipment. They're interested in, the quality of water on our beaches, estuaries, you name it. And now having the ability to test for PFAS, for water supplies, helping people have access to that information is incredible. But I think having someone who's not a contract epidemiologist, but an epidemiologist, that contract term used to drive me crazy. And so I think it's terrific that you're here, that you come from here, that you're obviously working with the department that's very well led and has a history of basically sustaining an immense respect within the community and among the various towns. Being in the health business is a tough job these days. And so I too want to wish you the best of luck, the best of success, and we look forward to hearing more about the work that you're doing. And as Commissioner Bergstrom said, we're all very proud of the work that our county does and our county departments do. And whenever there's an opportunity to put a spotlight on it, we're always interested in doing that. And I know when we go out on the Upper Cape, I'll be asking Jay, I'll be asking staff, do we have anything, or any part of the Cape, do we have anything that we should be talking to our communities and out and about in the Cape, about the work that you guys are doing, particularly in your field. So, with that.
I just want to mention that, our assistant county administrator is an epidemiologist as well, Vera. And she wasn't hired by the health department, she was hired by the human service department originally as the assistant administrator or director. And she was in the right place at the right time when we hit the drug epidemic. I kept hearing from different meetings I was at, we have a pill problem. We have it from social workers, we have a pill problem. And I said to Beth, I think we have a pill problem. And then the work we did put us right in line to be able to access funds once that became an epidemic recognized by the governor. And it was Vera's work. So you have a colleague that you can call on in the county, and don't be, she'd be happy to just talk shop with you, I'm sure. So anyway.
I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
A warm welcome. Thank you
Right,
so much.
yes, it's very nice to have you, as it has been with Randy. So,
I do want to pick up on your comments, and all of the commissioners, when you talked this morning, I heard the beginning part of the meeting in the hallway, but you talked about how we message to the community, specifically to Howard, but across that. In public health, we talked about that as immunizing the community with good information.
Right.
We immunize with them so that they can then make good decisions. But exactly your message that each of you gave this morning to Harwich, we had Harwich in a meeting with us a week and a half ago. With that feedback, we have a strategic planning session that's going on, so please know what you're saying here, we're echoing in the health department, and again, I'll say it, to immunize them, so the residents can make good decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're quite welcome. Sometimes, it's difficult sometimes for a select board member to fully appreciate or understand a lot of the work that goes on at a department level, like your interactions with health agents in the health departments.
Regularly.
It's constant, it's sustained. You're talking about, what are your issues, what do you need our help with?
Right.
It's going on all the time, and I think, I wanted to mention that today, because sometimes I'm not sure we as commissioners are able to shed a light on that as often as maybe we should.
I think you did, excuse me, not to step on your, I think you did do exactly that, and the health agent was in the room when you gave those comments. So from that feedback, you know, we don't want to just hear accolades. We
Right.
want to hear, where are the areas of improvement?
Oh,
Where can we,
exactly.
Right.
the mandated things you're taking care of. We
Exactly.
want to be able to take care of those, augment what are admittedly austere budgets, and say, where can we fill in nursing and beyond? Epidemiology, we can give data specifically to your community. And then you say, then there's a marketing component to public health.
Right.
But
And
you
we,
message it.
and quite frankly, we appreciate those communications, but also making it clear, you tell us where you need help and
Right.
where we can do
Where
better.
we could do better, right.
And I appreciate your approach and those interactions with your constituents and in the health organizations in the towns. So thank you very much, and again, good luck to you, and we look
yes,
forward to seeing you
look forward to seeing
around.
more of you.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you so much.
take care. Thank you, Jay.
You bet you.
Thanks, Randy.
So, Michael, did you have anything else on your agenda?
The only thing I have is exciting news about our award. We received award from NACO. It is, I'll get you the exact name of the award. It's for our website. It just disappeared. There it is. There we go. The
Sonia.
2026 Digital Counties Award, and my thanks to IT as well as our communications team for keeping our website relatively up to date, keeping it user-friendly, and keeping it packed full of information, so it was.
Excellent.
Yeah, well,
Glad to hear-
congratulations to
And
the
also,
team.
if I can ask, you sent a survey, so they are looking for a survey. We got an email about NACO has sent us, Robin sent it to us, and that is due soon, relatively. But we're encouraged to do this. I think that we should. I think that we should be much more involved with NACO anyway, but
If you do the survey many times, then we might win again.
we might win again, and we might get something else. Who knows?
Prize.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just by us little guys out
Commissioner
here.
That's all I have.
Bergstrom?
All right, excellent.
I'm all set, thank you.
Yeah, again, for the record, kudos to Sonia Sheasley. She
And,
works
yeah.
tirelessly on the website and finding ways to always make it look better. She does a great job, she works hard, and kudos for her, because we would not have received this award but for her hard work.
Just Mark, just to
And-
say,
and
this
IT.
isn't the first time that our website has been given
I
an
know.
award and given.
Yeah, we got it from MMA, but we weren't in town, so they took it back.
That's right. That's right,
Anyway.
yeah, there you go. All right, the
If-
next item I'd like to bring up, again, I don't necessarily need to have a presentation on this report, but it is on the agenda, and I would like a motion to approve and authorize for release the 2026 final local aid report prepared by Michael Dutton and Carol Capola.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those, and I'd also like to enter into my motion, I'm going to amend this, that it be released in memory of the former Harwich Selectman Don B. Griffin, a constant and persistent advocate, not just for the town of Harwich, but for all of Cape Cod and its fiscal
Well-
well-being.
So moved as amended.
And I'll amend my second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carries unanimously.
I do want you to know that the town of Wellfleet, under my name, did send a letter in support and to take a look at this and be a little bit more generous. So I do encourage other towns to do the same once they read it.
Okay, very good. Before we go to the, for a motion to adjourn, I'd just like to make sure that we have an opportunity to thank the town of Harwich, thank the town
Absolutely.
manager's office, thank the select board for spending time with us to sort of share with us any and all concerns that they have. I think it was great hearing, getting a very spirited conversation in the town and hearing from Harwich residents. So I just want to get that out there and once again, thank everybody in the town hall for helping us out. It's been great. It was a good meeting. So do I have a
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
motion and a second? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
We
Aye.
are adjourned at 1:22.
Thank you, Howard.